know what time it is. Buckle up and enjoy the ride.
And we are live. Greetings to our loyal WFYL listeners around the world. Welcome back to your Philadelphia live stream, only on the Freedom Station. I want to thank each and every one of you for tuning in once again, because you still have the right to hear and the right to be heard. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Mike G. As always, with me are Philly Chris, Russ the producer, and Liberty Lee. And you're listening to Mike G in the Morning with The Law Matters. And you can listen to our program every Friday at 7 a.m. Eastern, only on the Freedom Station, WFYL. So let's be heard. I want to remind our listeners that you can participate in the free and open exchange of thoughts and ideas throughout the entire week by visiting MikeGinTheMorning.com. Participate in all things Mike G in the Morning. I love this graphic, Russ. That is excellent. Check it out. Don't be a mustard-eating knucklehead. You got to go directly. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. Go directly to MikeGinTheMorning.com. What's it called, Philly Chris?
Oh, ladies and gentlemen, that's MikeGinTheMorning.com.
Russ, I heard you laughing over there. What's the name of the website?
MikeGinTheMorning.com.
Tell your friends, tell your family, tell your dog, tell your Uncle Jerry, tell anybody who'll listen to go on over to MikeGinTheMorning.com. We've had a lot of fun these last few weeks. We appreciate everybody who's been participating and joining in on social media and writing in. We've got a lot of nice messages from our listeners and audience members requesting we discuss certain particular topics. And we always love to hear from you folks. This program is all about you, our listeners. So don't be shy. Don't be a mustard-eating knucklehead. Visit us at MikeGinTheMorning.com. You know, we did talk about that website, auditthevotepA.com, and you see the traction that has been taking place over in Arizona with their audit. I hope that everybody in Pennsylvania will visit auditthevotepA.com. We weren't able to post that out on social media for reasons that should be obvious to anybody who follows our program. We have been severely censored throughout the last few months, and many of our posts, if they don't like the content, it's questionable. We could even be following the rules. We can be taken down. We've been banned. We've been suspended. We've received strikes. Or it's in certain occasions, they just don't let anybody else see what we are posting. So we didn't want to run the risk of posting that out on social media. Audit the Vote PA demand that the Pennsylvania legislature audit the vote here and preserve election integrity, because we all know what happens in elections. And I'll leave it at that. You can't take me off of that, can you? AuditTheVotePA.com. We're just pushing to preserve election integrity. If we did post that out on social media, it would have been taken down. It would have been censored. And perhaps it wouldn't have reached anybody. So what we did was we got a little bit creative. We said, calling all PA patriots, we have a very important message for you. If you're interested in helping support freedom, reach out to us. And the inbox was absolutely flooded. All sorts of people reached out, most from Pennsylvania, but many people who weren't even from Pennsylvania reaching out saying, hey, I'm not from PA. Can I still hear about what's going on? And we said, absolutely, sent them over some stuff. So thank you, everybody who did participate in that sense. We do want to have some of our loyal listeners on the program sometime soon, so we're trying to get that arranged. And any of our loyal listeners who participate on social media but do not volunteer to come on the program will be receiving the Mustard Award, right?
That's right.
Do you have any candidates for the Mustard Award?
Any candidates?
Randy's got to be getting a Mustard Award, right?
Yeah.
Randy's got to be getting a Mustard Award. Rita better be careful. She's so faithful on social media, always posting, always checking out our stuff, providing her input, but we probably need to get her on the air. Otherwise, she will be eligible for a Mustard Award. Who else? Sean Durso, also very active on the social media side, giving him a shout out, but got to come on the program. Otherwise, you get a Mustard Award. Who else?
Although we're kind of rewarding them for not coming on, really, because it's nice to get mustard.
It's nice to get the Mustard Award. Hey, we only send out high quality mustard. You know that, right?
Well, yeah, it was the Katz's, right, from New York.
That is the finest mustard.
It really
finest
is
mustard money
delicious.
can buy.
Sometimes I just eat it straight out of the jar.
Of course you do.
Right out of the bowl.
Mustard eating knucklehead.
That's right.
I don't want to butcher AK's name. AK, active participant in social media. You're going to be eligible for the Mustard Award should you not come on the program. So Lou out of Harrisburg, you're going to be eligible for the Mustard Award if we don't hear from you soon. And so quite a few. If you've got a person you want to nominate for the Mustard Award, you could let us know about that too. Why not? Write in. Tell us your nomination for the Mustard Awards. So visit us, MikeGinTheMorning.com. You got it, Philly Chris.
I was trying to time it right.
What was that?
I said I was trying to time it right, but I stepped over you. Sorry.
What was the name? What was the name?
Oh, the name you mean, where they should go to vote and write into the show? That's at MikeGinTheMorning.com.
MikeGinTheMorning.com.
You guys are going to make me spit out my mustard.
MikeGinTheMorning.com.
He's got mustard flowing through his nose, ladies and gentlemen.
That's right.
I got a buddy of mine. It's been quite some time since I've spit anything through my nose as a result of laughing, which is really a shame, right? We should all be so lucky to shoot liquids out of our nose while laughing.
Just hope that it's not mustard or pickles.
Yeah.
Pickles might be difficult. You'd have to have some Daryl Strawberry-sized nostrils for that to work, right?
No. My stepbrother did that once. We were at a restaurant, and he laughed at something so hard while he was eating a burger that a pickle went up his nose. He said it burned.
No way.
It was very unfortunate, but incredibly funny.
We should have some sort of competition. If he can recreate that, there should be some kind of prize or award.
Do it live on the air.
A lifetime supply of mustard.
Pickled mustard.
Pickled mustard, yeah.
I had a buddy reach out. I haven't spoken to him quite some time. Attended high school with him, and he sent something over that was pretty funny. I should probably read it on the air because it's relevant to a lot of our discussions. And he and I were pretty close in high school. Haven't spoken in a while. We started talking a little bit about politics because he saw that we've been doing the show and everything like that, and he might have certain positions that lean left, let's say. And so we started discussing that. He says, the way I see it, we can disagree on everything and have respect, so long as a man doesn't eat pizza with a fork and knife or root for the Red Sox.
The man has his limitations.
Everybody has their limit.
I read that in a gas station parking lot, and if I was drinking at that point in time, I would have shot the liquid out of my nose. Started laughing out loud in the gas station parking lot, and I told him, because he was always the guy in high school who's sitting at the table, he'd tell jokes and all the liquids would be flowing everywhere, you know.
That sounds pleasant.
So I reminded him, I said, you remember in high school when you would tell the jokes that made everybody shoot milk out of their nose? That was one of those moments right there. That was that quality of a joke. But MikeGinTheMorning.com. And with that, you know what time it is. Buckle up and enjoy the ride. Hit it, Russ.
You know what time it is. Buckle up and enjoy the ride.
Awesome.
Yeah, that pause was just for dramatic effect.
Yeah,
right?
just dramatic effect.
Yeah. Let's go with that. I planned it the whole time, I swear.
Hit it, Russ.
Hit it, Russ. In a second, Russ, I'm going to tell you to hit it. Now hit it.
Okay, so we're having a good time so far. We want to talk about something that is fairly serious. I shouldn't say fairly serious. It's a serious topic. It's an example of how our government and this current administration will be doing everything that they possibly can to infringe upon our right to keep and bear arms in this country. And how they don't care what the law says. They don't care when the legislature has spoken. If they think they've got a good idea, they're going to find a way to implement that by circumventing the legislature. And that's exactly what we've got coming out with this stabilizing brace scorecard, so to speak. And we've got a very special guest with us. We've got Chip joining us with a special report on this matter. He'll be giving us his special report, and stick around for a little bit of a discussion. I know this is something that's on the radar of many, many gun owners, not only here in Pennsylvania, but throughout the entire country. Just watching how the government is making up the rules as they go along. It's very New Jersey-esque, if you ask me, when you see what they've really done here. So there's a lot to unpack here. With the stabilizing braces on pistols, this has been something where the ATF has gone back and forth a number of times over the years, and we'll get into that. But for now, I want to introduce our very, very special guest, who's not only in the firearms field, but in the legal field as well. We've got Chip joining us. Chip, are you with us?
Hi, Mike. I'm here. Thanks for having me.
Oh, thank you always for joining us. It's a pleasure to have you, and we understand you've got a very special report for us.
Yes, so the ATF put together a golf scorecard, if you will, and to them, the lower the score, the better. But the way this new rule is written, you get a triple bogey just for signing up to play. So from my understanding, the way this works is if you get 4 or more points, your pistol is to be considered a rifle. For example, if your barrel is 12.5 inches, but under 13.5 inches, that's an automatic 3 points. But if it's 3.5 inches and over, congratulations, that is automatically a rifle with 4 points. Wow. Now, this isn't even the most ridiculous part. If your pistol has a secondary grip, that is an automatic 4 points. If you have backup, flip-up sights, or no sights at all, that is 1 point. Now, what does that even mean? No sights at all. That is 1 point to being a rifle. Oh, it gets even worse. If you have a red dot or reflex sight, that is 2 points. And if you have a scope that requires any type of eye relief, that's an automatic 4 points, making it a rifle. Now, I personally have never heard of any type of scope that doesn't require eye relief. And if you have a bipod or a monopod, that's 2 points. And finally, the most ridiculous in my opinion, is if your pistol weighs more than 120 ounces, it's a rifle. So let's look at it this way. Many people like to go hunting with bigger game with revolvers, such as the Smith & Wesson 500 Magnum. Now, this pistol with the 10.5-inch barrel weighs around, or exactly, 78.9 ounces. Now, if you're hunting, you might be using a scope, which let's say is 20 ounces. The scope mount is 1.8 ounces, and a bipod, which many people use for these hunting guns, is 28 ounces. So this gun, unloaded, comes in at 28.7 ounces. 8.7 ounces over the arbitrary ATF weight limit, making that hunting revolver into an illegal rifle. So just for fun, if you add all these scores together, that hunting revolver would give you a score of 11 points on that ATF golf card.
Blowing it out of the water, right?
A little over par there. Yeah.
Wow.
It's ridiculous.
It is ridiculous because this is not the law, right? We can say definitively that Congress did not write this. This is being made up by bureaucrats, unelected bureaucrats, and they're making it up as they go along. What we do know about the law, when you're defining rifle, it's a weapon designed or redesigned, made or remade, and intended to be fired from the shoulder, and designed or redesigned, made or remade to use the energy of the explosive in a fixed metallic cartridge to fire only a single projectile through a rifled bore for each single pull of the trigger. And in their reasoning, they say, therefore, attaching a stabilizing brace to a typical pistol where no assistance is necessary, or attaching one to a firearm so heavy or difficult to control that one-handed shooting is impractical or inaccurate, regardless of the manufacturer's stated intent, will change the design of the firearm into a rifle intended to be fired from the shoulder. So they're saying, regardless of their intent, the definition clearly says intended to be fired, right? Intended to be fired. And they're saying, we don't care what you intend.
Right.
If this, and this, then you do intend.
It's crazy.
That's
Welcome
not
to
the meaning of the word,
twilight.
dude, right? You keep saying that word. I do not think you know what it means. So really what they're doing is they've got this objective, right? They want to regulate these things. Congress has not come forward and regulated these things. So they're saying, what do we already have in place? How can we twist this? How can we use our magic, so to speak, to regulate these things without going through the legal process, without going through the legislative process and dealing with elected officials who speak for the people? And really, they get into that, says word for word here in this, quote, indeed, firearms with stabilizing braces have been used in at least 2 mass shootings, with the shooters in both instances reportedly shouldering the brace as a stock, demonstrating the efficacy as short-barreled rifles of firearms equipped with such braces. Now, I am sure that had this rule been in place prior to these mass killings, right? Prior to these guys going out and killing 9, 10 people at a time, because I think one of these was Ohio, they mentioned. Yeah, prior to this guy going out and killing 9 people, had this rule been in place, he would have said, oh, I'd love to use this this brace against my shoulder to help me kill people. But I can't do that because that would be against the law. I'm sure that's what would have happened.
Right. Yeah, it's just so
would have been prevented in the first place had they only had this scorecard. Isn't that right, Chip?
Yeah. And the funny thing is I've seen a lot of people making jokes about it where, the ATF published this scorecard, and now everyone is trying to see how many points they can get and beat the other person.
It's becoming a contest.
Unintended consequences, yes.
Russ, do you have any of those memes that I posted in the Google Doc? I want you to try to pull the first one of those up.
Yeah, give me a second.
We're gonna do some meme watching here. Very good meme game when it comes to the ATF, I'd say.
Yeah.
When it comes to these ridiculous, bogus rules that are made up as they go along, we see a whole lot.
The AFT now or something? Or
the AFT, that's right. It's been renamed as of King Joseph R. Biden.
That's right.
So, I want to see a couple of these memes. I think a lot of our audience would relate to these. Really shows you how ridiculous it is. It's funny when you got truth in memes, right?
Yeah. Some of them are right spot on, yeah.
It's enough to make you spit out your mustard.
Oh, there we go.
You see what I'm talking about, Russ?
Yeah. Let me put that on the... There we go.
So any day now.
Oh, hush.
You can edit this out for the radio program tomorrow.
Welcome to the show, Russ. Ladies and gentlemen, producer Russ. Meme time.
All right, meme time.
There we go.
All right. So we got this photo. It's from Whose Line Is It Anyway? Remember Drew Carey was the host of that?
Oh, yeah. It was
a game where there was like no point to the game, and it's got a guy. It's got Drew Carey, except the ATF guy with the hat pasted over his face. It says, welcome to the ATF race scorecard, where everything is made up and the points don't matter.
There we go. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
I like that one. And there's a second one, if you scroll down, Russ, one more meme I wanted to display.
Make it larger.
And this one comes from the one and only Michael Scott with an ATF hat on. And basically it says, okay, that's as clear as I can make it. He's pointing to this poster board where you've got the pistol with the brace, handgun, rifle. That's pretty good, right?
Oh, man.
So that's what we're dealing with over here. Coming up, we're going to see a lot of, I don't want to say unintended consequences, because when they make up these rules like this, do you think that they many times intend the consequences that come from them? All right, that's enough, Russ. You can get rid of that now.
Yeah.
Do you think they intend these consequences, Philly Chris?
To the consequence of
Because it's clearly overbroad, right? Like Carl's mentioning, you're going to have all of these ridiculous prohibitions as a result of this made-up system that they've come up with that is clearly
well, the thing
not
that's really dumb about it, I think, is that, you know, it's arbitrary. As you've pointed out so many times on the program, they're not going to follow the law anyway. And let's say they want to do that, you could still get a rifle anyway. So if they're worried about that, you know, it just doesn't make sense. And then it makes law-abiding gun owners have all these challenges and not have things that they may want to possess or have had in the past. So, yeah, obviously it's more about, I think, control and taking our civil liberties away than it is about really doing anything for crime. And we know that handguns are the majority of the shootings anyway, correct? Based on what we've talked about on the show. So they're not going after the illegal handguns, really. They're just, you know, infringing on people's rights, it seems.
Yeah. I mean, if we're going to have discussions about rifles, we've also got to have discussions about edged weapons, right? Blades, sharp objects.
Yeah, sure. Mm-hmm.
We got to have discussions about blunt objects like hammers. We got to have discussions about hands and feet because those are comparable to
some shoes,
rifles
like
of
those
any
big
kind.
black boots and stuff, are scary.
Oh, they're very scary. Assault boots, right?
Assault boots. Exactly. Got to watch those. They kick differently.
And really, in New Jersey, that's what they came up with their assault firearms restrictions. Ultimately, they made the offending features, right? And a lot of our listeners know that a bayonet lug is one of the offending features that contributes as to whether something is classified as an assault firearm over in New Jersey. It's ridiculous. A lot of people have gotten into trouble over these possessory offenses in New Jersey over the years for no other reason than the government has stated it's illegal. They don't make any sense. There's no rhyme or reason whatsoever. I think part of the problem, though, is that the law in and of itself, I think it's probably poorly written, right? If you're saying it's intended to be designed or redesigned, intended to be fired from the shoulder, isn't that pretty malleable?
I think so, yeah.
There could be legitimate arguments on both sides. Reasonable minds might differ. Is that fair? Chip, I want to bring you in on this because you've done all the research and you've been around the firearms business for quite some time. Wouldn't you say that it's a poorly written definition and there's a lot of arguments to be made on both sides in many situations?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like they almost intend to impress on our rights as much as they possibly can. And then I feel really bad for, you know, the people stuck in this legal limbo right now. Because a lot of times they don't even expand on their definitions and what they mean in certain instances.
And people would rather be safe than sorry. They don't want to be looking at spending time at Club Fed, as they like to call it, right?
Right. Yeah.
So they say, okay, I'm going to err on the side of caution, and so I'm just going to give this up, or I'm not going to. Then you got other people say, I don't care what the government says. I'm going to do what I got to do. But there are a lot of people who are being chilled. You talk about chilling speech by way of speech restrictions, right? And that's heavily frowned upon and disfavored under the Constitution. That's what happens with these laws sometimes. When they're vague, when they're ambiguous, you say, well, a zealous prosecutor could potentially interpret it to mean this, where that's not something that I had anticipated. And so if I want to be safe rather than sorry, if I don't want to become the test case, so to speak, right?
Sure.
Might be a situation where you might be able to beat the rep, but you are not going to beat the ride. So maybe you'll win in court, but you've got to go get arrested, charged with crime, arrested, right? Brought to jail.
Right.
Maybe sit there through your trial, go through trial, spend all that money, ruin your life, and then at the end you win, right?
Right, yeah.
I'm not guilty, I win.
Yeah, what exactly do you win on that?
Yeah, what do you win, right? What do people win in these cases?
Experience.
Sounds like that ride is the one where you vomit when you get off. It's like getting on a bad roller coaster.
Yeah.
Like, this could be exciting, you know? I'll risk it.
Nobody wins.
Where's my wallet? Where'd 30 grand just go, right? Yeah. How often, what's the average amount you see to defend somebody in that situation? Any idea like what that would cost somebody?
You're talking about a federal possessory case?
Sure.
Tens of thousands of dollars.
Yeah, right. Right.
Tens
yeah.
of thousands of dollars. Yeah.
Okay.
Because that's going to take up half your life. It's not because lawyers are mean and they charge too much money. It's because that is going to take up half your
Sure.
life, that kind of a case. And there's a lot on the line. And as the expression goes, sometimes cheap is expensive in those situations, right?
That's right.
You don't want to be looking for a Groupon for brain surgery anytime soon, do you? Let's see, anybody selling brain surgery on sale? Maybe I could get the cheapest
I
brain
used mine
surgeon.
last week.
I have brain for you if you give me kidney. I take kidney now, I
Jeff, were
trade
you
the
about to
brain
pop in?
later.
I think you got run over. It's kind of like a freight train on this program, so you got to just jump in.
Hmm.
Chip, were you trying to say?
I was just going to say, I would just say it builds character. You know, you get put in that whole legal system. You learn how the government really works and what they want to do to its citizens.
Right.
Yeah. Well, that is one way to put it. I need to.
Yeah. Definitely a lesson in there. Yeah.
Should be a motivational
I'd
speaker.
Right now, though, I feel like there's really a line being drawn in the gun community and with our politicians, our elected officials. I know right now, I believe there's a bill that went through the Pennsylvania House that was made to strengthen the preemption on gun laws in Pennsylvania. But at the same time, though, it seems like the bill for constitutional carry in our state was, just sitting dead on the floor right now. So that's another thing that we have to work on. It seems like whenever we get one thing done, we take a little step back, though.
Here's what I want people. Let's discuss that. That's a good point that you bring that up, because I think all of these regulations and the bureaucracy at the federal level, I think what that's an example of. You have this legislation that's out there. It's vague. It's ambiguous to a degree. It could be interpreted different ways. It could be argued different ways. And what that is sometimes is you've got the legislature saying, okay, we're going to do this much, and then we'll let the courts sort it out, right? We'll let the courts just say that it'll be up to them to interpret this. And really, that's what's going to happen with this stuff, right? This is going to end up in court somehow. And the court's going to have to make a decision. Can they even do this? Right. Or is this so ridiculous they don't have the authority to do something like this? Have they gone beyond the scope of their authority? But it just goes to show the reason they're doing something like this, they can't get something through Congress, presumably, right? I mean, I don't know how, because they've got control of everything. I don't want to, we're knocking on wood over here. I'm not trying to jinx anything. Hey, don't give them any ideas. But the bottom line is that they're not going through the elected representatives to achieve their goals. And if they were to do that, people would have to go on the record and cast their vote. And maybe some people would lose their jobs because of that. They go out there in favor of something that's pro-gun control. The left try to eat them alive. Anybody in the left votes against gun control, right?
Crazy, you get canceled.
But you have people who do care about their gun rights all over the place. And you have politicians who go on the record voting for this stuff. Maybe they lose their job for that. Now, on the Pennsylvania side, that's exactly why it was important that these bills get put out there. We've got no illusions that Tom Wolf is going to have a change of heart and sign these things into law, right? I mean, he's on the other side. He's on the opposite side, regardless of what the preemption law says, because preemption's been in place in
he doesn't
Pennsylvania.
like the Second Amendment, Mike?
He's not a fan. But when you're talking about preemption, right?
I swear I saw him at the range.
6120. No local government can regulate the ownership, possession, transportation, or transfer of firearms. And the reason you've got that in place is, could you imagine how ridiculous it would be is every time you went to a different township or a different city or a different county, they had a different set of gun laws? That would be impossible. It would make a lot of accidental criminals. It would be like if you said, okay, well, in this county, we drive on the right side of the road, but the county over, they drive on the left side of the road, and they stop when the lights are green and they go when the lights are red. It would be ridiculous. Over 2,000 local governments in Pennsylvania, and the idea is that you need a uniform set of laws. It's the only thing that makes sense. Been around since the 1970s. It's not anything new. It's not some new invention of gun rights organizations, as some people on the left of the mainstream media might tell you. This has been around for quite some time. And really, every time local governments have tried to get away with something and it's gone to court, that they've been struck down. And the legislature has even come back and strengthened the preemption law and said, no, because the left will argue, well, you left room for this. And legislature goes back and says, no, we didn't. We absolutely didn't mean that. Let's strengthen this thing. And no matter what, they continue to try. And at this point, last few years, it hasn't even been a matter of, well, there's room, the way the law is written. It's been, well, we don't care what the law says. We're going to break the law and go ahead and sue us. If you don't like it, go ahead and sue us.
It's very telling.
You spend the money.
Time.
We've got Bloomberg money. He's going to fund all of our lawsuits. We don't have to spend a dime. So you go ahead and sue us. You as an individual. Or risk getting arrested based on these illegal laws, right?
Yeah.
Because this local government makes this law. It's not valid under the laws of the Commonwealth because of the preemption law. And if somebody breaks that local law, are they going to be punished? Are they going to be arrested? Are they going to be jailed? Are they going to have to go through the system the way we just talked about? And that's a problem for a lot of people. So a lot of people just don't do it. They just don't do something that's legitimately lawful. And that's ridiculous. That's absurd. So with this new preemption law, and obviously I litigated against the city of Harrisburg based on their illegal ordinances years ago, having to do with Act 192. Under this new preemption law, it would make it more practical to enforce the preemption law and challenge these illegal ordinances, because it would allow membership organizations to back them up. So they got Bloomberg money. That's fine and well for everybody, but they don't want organizations that support the Second Amendment to come in and bring these challenges for government against governments who are breaking the law.
Yeah,
and that's really what it comes down to. It's not a matter of whether or not you're for guns, against guns, whether or not you think the local ordinances are a good idea, bad idea. The fact of the matter is, it's the government breaking the law. And I think we should all agree that if the government's allowed to break the law every time it thinks it's got a good idea, then we are all in a lot of trouble. You can't see that.
Sounds like now, Mike.
And you live in a different planet if you can't see that, right?
Right.
So that's what this proposed law would effectively do. It would allow the challenge of these illegal ordinances. Now, with constitutional carry, ultimately what happened was, got word that it got through the committee, right? And they refused to bring it up for a vote. And the word on the street was that there were Republican lawmakers who didn't want it to get up for a vote. The reason why they're pushing for these pro-gun bills to go through, with the knowledge that Governor Wolf is likely to veto these laws, is they want a clear record. Who supports the Second Amendment and who does not? Choose. You can't be a wishy-washy politician anymore. You can't duck these questions, duck these issues, and hide. Put yourself on the record. Let's find out who our friends are. And if you're our friend, you can keep your job. If you're not your friend, we'll vote for somebody else. That's fair, right? Nothing wrong with that. Can anybody see anything wrong with that? The fact that you want to know where your representative stands? You want to put your money where your mouth is? Because everybody in their campaign can say, yeah, I support the Second Amendment. That's nonsense for a lot of people, right? Just talking out of their armpits, right, Russ?
Yeah. I don't have a graphic for that. I'm sorry.
But when you gotta get out there, you gotta put your name and you've got to vote. Then that means something. And so these Republican lawmakers didn't want to do it. And why is that? They've bought into this mainstream media garbage narrative that's obviously fueled by people on the far left, that Republicans are always expected to come towards the middle and compromise, right? Well, why can't you guys work together? The left's never expected to do that, right? They're never expected to do anything for our purposes or to help out our causes or meet us in the middle. It's always the people on the right that are expected to do that. And that's why you end up with people like Mitt Romney. You end up with people like John McCain, these quote-unquote moderate Republicans who do nothing but sell out their own people in the name of trying to win over some group of people who you're never going to win over anyhow. It's a futile effort.
Mm-hmm.
And we've seen it over and over again. We see the folks who turn out losers.
Yeah.
And these are the same people who scold Donald J. Trump, same people who scold the politicians who do stand up for the people and for what their constituents truly want. And for some reason, there's been this brainwashing of sorts coming from the mainstream media, coming from Hollywood, coming from the left, coming from the education system.
Mm-hmm.
Look at your nightly news. It's always them saying, well, you know, the people on the right have to learn to work together and they got to come towards the middle and they've got to compromise. It's never the people on the left. Well, I'll tell you what, I'm done with that. Mm-hmm. I'm sick and tired of playing that game where there's two different sets of rules.
Yeah.
I'm not doing it anymore. I'm sure a lot of our listeners are not doing it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure Philly Chris ain't doing it anymore.
I'm not doing it anymore, Mike.
You haven't done it. You haven't done it in a while, I guess.
I
right?
haven't a lot. Well, you know, I have a mask story. I don't know if I should tell it on air, but I started telling you about that maybe later.
Man, we'll
yeah,
certainly get kicked off of every single platform
probably.
if you tell that story.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we'll do a separate Rumble video or something like that where we can
tune in next week.
Yeah, tune in the middle of the weekend. So, Carl, I kind of interrupted you there with a little bit of a rampage for 20 minutes or so.
That was good, though. That was very well
said. Trying to explain where we are, because you brought up a very good point that I think intertwines with what we're seeing at the federal level. So what were your concerns when you saw that this preemption law goes through and constitutional carry doesn't get a vote? What were your concerns when you saw that?
Well, it really just made me think, you know, what are the intentions of our elected officials? You know, I mean, they want one thing to go through, but it seems like it's like, hey, I want to look like, you know, I support the Second Amendment and vote for it, but I don't want to vote for it that much.
Right.
It's like they take a step back.
Exactly right. And they have an excuse because it didn't go up for a vote. They have that excuse. There's plausible deniability, so to speak, there, because they didn't have to put their name, yay or nay, for constitutional carry. So what I say to the Mike G in the Morning family is to get out there and call your local representatives. Tell them that you're in support of this bill. Let them know that you want to see it up for a vote. And that if they don't push for a vote, then they might not have a job next time around. Because at some point, we've got to throw our hands up in the air and say, well, what's the difference, right?
Yeah.
What's the difference? If you're not going to vote for my interests, then why am I going to continue to vote for you as opposed to the other guy who's terrible? So the other guy's terrible. You're also terrible. Tell me why I should vote for you.
Yeah. I think if there was
I'm less terrible, so vote for me. I'm not terrible on all the things. I'm only terrible on most of the things.
Right.
Listen, do your job. Do your job. That's what it comes down to.
Another thing people can do.
I don't know how specific I want to get on this because I'm sure everybody understands on all of these issues. I've got a little bit of inside baseball. But particularly if you live in the 5-county area, you need to be calling your local representatives. Let's just leave it like that. Mm-hmm. I want everybody who lives in the 5-county area to be calling their local representatives and letting them know, hey, if this does not go up for a vote, I'm not going to forget that. I'm going to write it down. It's going to be in my little black book. And next time you are up for re-election, I will recall that. So either get it up for a vote. If you can't, despite your best efforts, put yourself out there saying, I was in support of this bill. I tried to get it up for a vote. And then if you're lying, maybe somebody will call you out and say, wait a second, that guy's the reason it didn't get up for a vote. What's he talking about? He didn't want it to get up for a vote. But make people get on the record, and that'll tell us who our friends are.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Mike.
That's the problem with politics, right? They find these ways to weasel around these things, don't they, Philly Chris?
Yeah, you're right. And I think if there were ever a time for our representatives to be supporting the Second Amendment with everything that's gone on over the past year, it's now, you know. And if they say they're going to support the Second Amendment, then they should be voting that way and, you know, encouraging it to get to that state. But yeah, it's now. I think you're right. It's time to get out there and talk to these folks and let them know how we feel.
Chip, have you reached out to your local representatives yet?
I have not. That's on my to-do list.
All right.
I did do the audit the vote, though.
Okay, that's very good. We need everybody to do that. AuditTheVotePA.com. I'm glad you did. And we'll cut you a little bit of slack because this was only since yesterday. I guess a lot of people didn't even hear about this news until today, right, when it comes to constitutional carry?
Yeah, I mean, I was scrolling the internet late last night when something about it popped up on my feed. And I didn't know you could contact them about it already.
No. Well, you can contact them anytime you want. They work for us, right? At least that's what they claim, at least, right?
You work for me.
Get it in there. Let them know that you're in support of the bill. And people have heard about this. I've had people ask me about constitutional carry. Some people I've run into who are not necessarily into firearms, but know me as the gun guy. So they ask me what I think about it. And when it comes to constitutional carry, it always surprises me. Well, it shouldn't surprise me. But it happens over and over again that people will say, oh, well, I'm not sure. Is this a good idea? You know, what's going to happen? Is it going to become like the Old West? Well, the good news is this would not be the first state in the history of the United States to do this. We've actually got a lot of examples.
Right.
And we got, 15 or 16 states in the United States already running on a permitless carry system.
Mm-hmm.
And if there were blood running through the streets, I think the mainstream media would be on top of that, Mr. Philly Chris, don't you think?
I believe they would. Yes, they would. Of course they would. Yeah, good point.
Another thing, they say, oh, well, is this going to allow people to walk around, criminals to walk around? Well, no, they'd still be prohibited, right? And if they're prohibited and going to carry unlawfully, I don't think that.
Yeah, and they still won't be able to purchase through the background check, right?
Right.
So,
They would not be able to pass the background check if they're prohibited in the first place.
Yeah.
That's another thing.
Aren't they many of the safer states, the states that have those laws? I don't know for sure, but I'm pretty sure many of them are the safer states.
Yeah, we should have Guy back on to talk
Yeah.
about that, right? Constitutional carry and
That'd be a good question, yeah.
the crime rates among those places.
Right.
I know that a lot of people at the most basic fundamental level, and maybe this is the caveman viewpoint, right? But they take the position, listen, when it comes down to it, I would like to have the option to protect myself.
Mm-hmm.
If there are going to be bad guys out there who have their hands on firearms and weapons regardless of what the law says, then I would like the option to be able to protect myself and protect my family from those bad guys who intend to do me harm. Call me simplistic. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you.
You're a bad citizen. You can't do that.
Am I being overly simplistic, Chip?
No, I don't think so. I mean, how would you make a criminal not want to attack their victim?
Right.
Right?
Disarm, right? Advertising that they don't have guns, right?
Yeah. I mean, the biggest way to deter a criminal is to make them afraid of their victims. If you're in a place that has permitless carry, and there is a very decent chance that a person you may try to victimize is carrying a weapon legally, I wouldn't go after that person.
Right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you wouldn't go after them because you're a nice guy and you're a decent human being. But if you were a criminal.
What are you doing at night, Chip? What's going on over there?
If you were a filthy, vile animal of a human being.
That's right.
Then that would make you think twice, right?
Yeah.
They don't like hard work. That's why they're criminals.
Mm-hmm.
If they enjoyed hard work, they'd get a job.
A lot easier just to take your stuff.
Or you don't even need to do that anymore these days, right? You could just collect unemployment. Is that how it's working out?
Yeah.
I hear so many people, I can't find anybody to work for me. It's too cushy to stay at home these days. The government benefits. That's by accident too, right, Philly Chris?
Oh, yeah. Nothing's by design. Mm-hmm.
Do you think
Go ahead.
Do you think the anti-gun community just recites the law when people try and mug them and say, hey, this is against the law?
You can't possess that gun. It's against the law. Drop that right this instant, or I am calling the police. I'll do it.
That's right.
I will call the police. That is what they are for.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wait, we defunded them. Never mind.
Hold on, the counselor's on the way. Just hold on a minute.
The
Calm
counselor.
down.
That's right. We don't have police anymore. There's a
Calm
counselor coming and talk to you about your upbringing and why you
Right.
want to shoot me in the face for my wallet.
Let's sit down.
Boy,
and
do
talk.
I wish I had a bag of bees.
1-800-BAGOBEES.
And having these discussions with some of these people who ask me about it, who may not necessarily be pro-gun or all about it, it seems to have made sense to a lot of these people when we start discussing it. I say, well, you know, the criminal out there who wants to do harm to somebody else and is not lawfully eligible to possess a firearm in the first place, but they're doing it to harm somebody. Do you really think that they're sitting around waiting for constitutional carry to go through just so
Right.
they can? I'm going to wait till constitutional carry goes through so I can carry the gun that's illegal anyhow, right?
Right. Yeah.
It makes no logical sense whatsoever because
Mhm.
they'd still be committing a crime. And I don't think people understand that when you get a license to carry in Pennsylvania, it's a process that is not all that extensive, right? You go through it, you fill out your paperwork, you submit to your background check. Sheriff's got up to 45 days to approve or deny your license. Most of the criteria are binary, all but one, which has a little bit of discretion involved, character and reputation clause. If the sheriff determines you've got a character and reputation that suggests you'd likely be a danger to the community, then they can deny you based on that, which you can appeal. I say sheriff, city of the first class is the chief of police. They do that through what they call the gun permitting unit, and appeals in Philadelphia will go to the L&I board. Everywhere else goes to the court of common pleas. And this process, a lot of people will leave the same day with their license in hand. And there's nothing wrong with that. But they'll leave the same day with their license in hand. They've submitted to their background check. They've filled out their paperwork. They're clean as a whistle. They get their picture taken. They pay their money, and they're good to go. So with a process like that in place, it's really a shame when you see somebody who gets caught. For example, there's a lot of people who come from out of state and don't realize that you can't have a handgun in your vehicle unless you have a license to carry firearms or fall under exemption, even if it's unloaded. Have a license to carry firearms or fall under exemption. So you get people from out of state where it's perfectly lawful, if you're eligible to possess, to have a handgun in your vehicle. They end up in Pennsylvania. They don't have a license to carry firearms. A lot of these people volunteer that they have a firearm in the vehicle to law enforcement if they're pulled over for whatever reason,
Yeah.
because they think they're doing the right thing. And the police
Sure.
say, well, thank you for sharing that with me. You're under arrest.
Yeah. Come with
And they
me.
take them in. It's a misdemeanor of the first degree. It's basically a felony, and it's punishable in maximum possible sentence of 5 years in prison. You lose your gun rights under federal law throughout the United States for life, which could have all been avoided had the person gone to the courthouse for 20 minutes.
Right.
Now, is that really achieving the goal that it is supposed to? Is that what we're trying to do here? Are we trying to ruin people's lives because they didn't go through a 20-minute and $20 process? Is
Right.
that what this is all about? If the person's perfectly eligible otherwise. If you're ineligible, then it's a felony.
Mhm.
But if you're otherwise eligible, then it's a misdemeanor of the first degree, still ruins your life because, like I said, it's basically a felony, max possible sentence of 5 years, all because you didn't go to the courthouse a couple of days prior.
Yeah.
Is that what they're trying to achieve? Is that their all-important goal?
Sounds
So
like they
constitutional
require
carry would
protection
really
money.
help with a situation
Mhm.
like that. And you might have people who say, well, surely a prosecutor is not going to throw the book at a guy like you're mentioning, Mike, right? You're saying the guy is not doing anything else wrong.
Mhm.
He's not prohibited from possessing firearms. It was an honest mistake. No.
It
You go to some
reminds
of
me of
these
the
counties.
Shanine.
You go to some of these counties. They're like, oh no, we don't. You don't do deals here. We take gun crime very seriously. It's like, shut up, nerd. You got a locker you got to go stuff yourself in.
They should talk to Shanine Allen and hear her story.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now that was in New Jersey, so
Yeah.
that's
I was thinking like the crossing the state lines thing where you're
crossing the state line. Sure, but I don't think people equate that with Pennsylvania, and that's unfortunate.
Mhm.
People say, "Oh, well, that was in New Jersey. That couldn't happen in Pennsylvania." No. It could absolutely happen in Pennsylvania. Could
It's
very
happened.
easily it does happen in Pennsylvania all the time. I deal with
Right.
these cases constantly. It does happen in Pennsylvania. I'm sure Chip's dealt with these cases. You know, I'm sure
I've been
Philly Chris, I'm
with you
sure
when
he's
you've
dealt with
received the
people.
calls. I've heard you
Yeah.
receive those calls. You get them all the
Right.
time. Yeah.
Right. Or even dealt with people through your experience in the firearms business, you know?
Right. Right.
So there's a lot of people who end up in this situation.
Yeah.
Time for a station identification. For those of us just tuning in, you're listening to Mike G in the Morning with The Law Matters, only on the Freedom Station, WFYL. Chip, we appreciate you taking the time to prepare and deliver your special report today. Do you have any parting words for our audience before we let you go?
Just one thing. On top of what I spoke about with that new ATF opinion, there is something we, the people, can do. If you go into federalregister.gov, you can find the proposed ATF rules and leave a comment that the Justice Department will review and use to decide whether or not a lot of these things will stand.
Now, Chip, I've got to ask you this. What kind of comments do you recommend people leave? Because knowing our audience, we've got people who are going to trace their middle finger and send it in. Don't do that. We got some of our audience members at home who are firing up the Xerox machine. They're gonna make a copy of their butt cheeks and send that in. Don't do that.
No,
In
do
order
that
to
one.
You guys
help
stole
our
my idea.
cause,
So
In order to
what kind
best
of
help the
comment do you
cause.
recommend they leave, Chip?
I would make a very well-written, constructed, critical comment that speaks on why these things infringe on your rights and why they should not be put into law.
Very good. Very good. So take some time, put some thought into it. You know, I suppose some of these gun rights organizations might come up with some kind of proposed comment, right? Hey, if you believe in this, if you're on our side, copy and paste this, send it on in. So I would check out the website for Gun Owners of America and some of these other gun rights organizations to see what they have to say. Well, Chip, it's always a pleasure to have you. Don't be a stranger. Come back on the program. Bring us a special report again sometime soon.
I will. Thank you very much for having me.
Always a pleasure. We've got another special guest that we're going to be bringing on the program. I think one of the most fun parts about having this program is we get to deal with a lot of folks who are just interesting people. I'll put it that way, right?
Absolutely.
They're just interesting people. And since I've been doing this program, if I run into somebody and I have an interesting conversation, I'll see if they want to come on the program.
Sure.
Why not, right?
Yeah.
Hey, I
had some
enjoyed
great
this
guests that way.
conversation between you and I. So why not share it with 100,000 people over the airwaves on Friday morning at 7 a.m. Eastern, only on the Freedom Station WFYL, right?
Yeah, exactly. You can also go to MikeGinthemorning.com.
MikeGinthemorning.com. Check out the interesting conversations with interesting real life people.
That's right.
The Freedom Station. You know, I heard that it is Gary Porter's birthday today.
Oh,
Russ, did you
yes.
see that?
Happy birthday
Yeah,
to
that's
Gary
correct.
Porter.
Russ throws us up a text message up on the video platform. Hang on, doing technical things. Well, thank you. I'm busy, guys. Leave me alone.
Yeah.
I'm
I'm calling your next guy.
Can't be
I love it.
bothered with your nonsense.
Right. Just talk amongst yourselves.
Are you there, Russ? Do I have you now?
Yeah, I never left.
Okay.
I was calling
Hello,
another
Christian
guy.
speaking.
Kristen, you're on the Mike G in the Morning program. Hang tight with us. We'll be with you in
All
just
right.
1 second. So, Russ, you were saying it's Gary Porter's birthday today?
Yes, I was notified by LinkedIn.
Oh, okay. So LinkedIn is always correct, right?
I
They
didn't know we were
everything.
on LinkedIn.
So,
Well, the
we want to wish a very happy birthday to Gary Porter. He's been instrumental in supporting freedom through the Freedom Station, WFYL. And he's one of the members responsible for the formation of We the People, the Constitution Matters, with Pastor David Whitney, Professor Phil Duffy, and I join as the legal analyst Fridays at 8 a.m. Eastern on the Freedom Station WFYL. So we want to thank him for all of his hard work, all of his efforts to get the word out there and help people understand the importance of our Constitution. I know, Russ, you've had a lot of experience with him over the years, not so much myself because I came on the program after his tenure.
Yes.
But you got a few words you want to say about him?
What he hasn't passed away.
No, I'm not saying he passed away. We're wishing him some recognition.
Would you
that
like
come
to
from?
say some words about him?
I said birthday, not funeral.
Yo, what, Chris? What was that?
We had a little visitor there. Yeah,
Oh.
that was one of the aliens. Don't worry about it.
Okay then.
Save him for later. That's
Right.
Okay. Well, I wanted to highlight the significance of Gary Porter. I can't remember when exactly he had to leave the program, but Chris,
Yes.
your guy in the background there.
Yeah. What's going on? There's somebody there. We have a visitor.
All right.
Visitor
Well,
on the show.
anyway,
can't
he's
hear your
crashing. He's
visitor
crashing
on
my
the
Gary
radio.
Porter party.
Right. They can't. Yeah, they can't hear him.
That's
You can
just
only see him on the
encouraging.
live stream.
Now everybody listening in the car in the morning is going to be like, "Now I got to watch the live stream now because whatever's going on."
That's right. Yeah, they got to watch the live stream now.
Well,
Save 'em.
I wanted to highlight the significance because he did help create the We the People show. It actually we started the program back in I think 2014 or 15 as it started as a series of roundtable discussions. Then we figured, well, why not just make it into a 1-hour show every Friday? There's plenty to discuss. And so he and a few other friends of the station at the time you know, they decided to participate in what is essentially a round table every Friday morning, and eventually he had to pass the torch on to the current host, which is now Pastor David Whitney, and you joined somewhere in there, as I recall, probably 2017 or 18. I'm not pretty sure. But yeah, happy birthday, Gary. We appreciate what you started.
I believe it was 2018 because I joined at the beginning of 2018, and it was just Pastor Whitney, Professor Duffy, and I. So thank you for what you've done, and thank you for paving the way. We appreciate you fighting for freedom. Have a very, very happy birthday. Just like us knuckleheads on this program, we transition into Cornholio in the background over there. You gotta be kidding me. I can't.
I should have had him. I should have had our listener. That's one of our listeners having to be in the area.
I don't always have the monitors up to see what else is going on. I get engrossed in what we're in our discussions, so I can't see. And it pops up in one of the monitors over here. I see what's going on over there.
Mm-hmm.
And it reminded me of what Russ said when he saw the new nominee being questioned by Congress with the ATF, Chipman, right?
Right.
Russ, do you remember what you said when you saw his photo?
I said he looks like both Beavis and Butthead. Do we have a picture of him? Can I just?
That is great. Yeah. Pull that one up.
There, yeah.
Pull that one up if you can.
I'll see what I can do with that one.
All right. Well, in the meantime, and you've got a photo of our next guest as well. I want to bring him on. Very interesting young man. Had the opportunity to meet him just yesterday at a gas station in Duncannon, Pennsylvania. It's just one of those sort of things. You're standing there in line, somebody starts chatting with you, and you have an interesting conversation. You say, you know what? I enjoyed this conversation. Let's share it with the Mike G in the Morning audience. And with that, we've got Christian with us on the line. Christian, are you with us?
Yes, I'm with you. How we doing, Mike? Thank you for having me on.
It's somewhat unbelievable that less than 24 hours ago we're having this conversation in the middle of nowhere at a gas station. And now you're on the program, right?
No, it's a beautiful thing, taking nothing and turning it into something. Yeah.
Absolutely. And the way it started, just so everybody is clear. I had just finished giving a seminar out in Juniata County. Wonderful gun club out there. And on the way back, stop at the gas station, was waiting in line. I probably looked like half of a slob because anybody who knows me knows I wear suits all the time. I can't stand wearing them. Got to wear all kinds of dress clothes. And so when I'm done with something, many times I'll just take off the dress shirt. I'll have the undershirt on. But I still had my dress shoes. So Christian, being observant as he is, comes over and says, I like your shoes. I'm not exactly a fashionista.
They were some slick shoes.
Oh, thank you. I felt bad, though, because I'm not some sort of fashionista or anything where I knew exactly what they were and where you could get them to tell you. So I didn't really have anything productive to contribute at that point. But I'm standing there looking at this guy. I'm thinking, he looks sort of familiar. Do I know him from somewhere? And really, this young, good-looking guy. So I'm thinking maybe I know him from television or something like that. And so I just mentioned something like that to him, and he's like, "Oh no, not me." We started having this conversation. He had been out my way towards Westchester College fairly recently, and just start chatting about life a little bit. And you were out there for some photography sessions, weren't you, Christian?
Yeah, it was so funny that I was up in your territory on Saturday, and you're literally in my territory just the other day, and it's funny how paths cross. But yeah, I was doing a photography session with my girlfriend. I was doing her graduation pictures. She's a grad at Westchester University and absolutely loved the area and really enjoyed the time up there. But yeah, just it's funny how paths cross like that, being in each other's territories,
Now, I understand you've got social media set up for your photography business and everything. Some really interesting photos you got up there, really quality work and everything like that. Where can people find that? I think at Christian Sear Photography.
Yeah, absolutely. That's exactly correct, Mike. Thank you.
And last name is S as in Sierra, Earer. Christian Sear.
Yes.
Am I saying it right? Because people mispronounce Giaramita all the time. That's why they call me Mike G.
Yeah, Mike G, man. No, Sear is absolutely right. Yes, it's perfect.
Good deal. So how'd you get into photography?
Well, the Lord's always given me an eye for it, and I have found just those certain angles and just had that creative touch. And when I have a camera in my hands, I feel like I can really tell a story. So I just like playing around with the light, bending it, and making people look beautiful.
When God gives you a gift like that, gives you a talent, it's a real shame to waste it, isn't it?
He has a purpose and a plan for us, and those gifts and abilities that he gives us, they're to be used. They're not to be hidden. And when you really dive deep into them, it's amazing what you can unlock.
That's one of the things in our conversation. I don't remember exactly how you brought it up, but you said something about God was calling you in a different direction, or the Lord was making something clear to you. So that sparked another discussion. And it's always good to hear when people are not ashamed to say something like that, especially this day and age. You say something like that, people sort of look at you cross-eyed sometimes. It's almost like going out there and saying something about COVID, right? Or something about firearms, incredibly controversial. And you don't know how people are going to react. So to just, go out on a flyer like that, I think that was admirable. Do you do that often when you're having discussions with people in public? Just bring that up?
Well, I appreciate your comments, Mike. I think it's imperative to share our faith. And that's another thing that really shouldn't be hidden, but there's ways of sharing that tastefully. But I do like to bring it up when I'm in public or we're in a good conversation. I typically wear a cross around my neck amid these times when we had to wear masks and stuff like that. They can't always tell your facial expression, so it's good to have that cross image to know that you're coming from a good direction. But yeah, I like to share it often.
That's an interesting point. I heard somebody say one time that, Christianity or the Bible, that's a universal sign to people. Think about it. If you're in a dark alley and you see 5 big guys walking down, you might think, okay, I'm in a little bit of trouble here. But if any of them are holding a Bible, you immediately know, okay, I'm going to be good, right?
Hallelujah.
Think about that. I would at least
Oh,
hope that
my.
people think that they don't get more scared, right?
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
So you were telling me that at some point you started getting involved in live streaming, reading the Bible, and things of that nature.
Yeah, there was one night about 4 years ago, and my Bible was a little dusty in that period of my life, and I remember waking up and God telling me, "Hey, man, it's time to brush that thing off and start streaming on Twitch." So I did what he said and had a nice little following, and really was able to share God's love with people and impact them in a positive light. And it was a pleasure to do so. For about three and a half years, I did that.
3.5 years. That's amazing. How often were you doing it?
3 or 4 times a week, and I believe
Wow.
over the course of the time, we got through like 15 books of the Bible. So yeah, it was a pleasure.
Wow.
I can't imagine that. Philly Chris, we do this once or twice a week, and we've been doing it for a few years now. I couldn't imagine 3 or 4 times a week. That takes
that's great.
dedication. That takes sacrifice. And I'm sure a lot of people changed their lives by tuning into that Twitch stream. Now, what kinds of things were you doing on there? Was it just straight reading from the Bible? Were you discussing some things that were involved in there, or just straight narration of the text?
Yeah, so the beginning was just hanging out, checking on how people's lives are, how their wives are, their children, what's going on. Then we would dive into a reading. We'd do two or three chapters. If something stood out or someone had questions, we would dive into it. And I would do a little bit of video game play as well. I played a battle royale game called PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, PUBG. And I was fortunate enough in my time while doing that to become a partner with the video game company. It was just another blessing that the Lord rewarded me with, through sharing his word. And it was a wonderful time to interact with people and, just share that positivity.
Okay, I got to ask you more questions about this because you bring up partner with the video game company. I don't know a ton about that, but I know that now you're speaking Russell's language. Russ, the producer,
Right.
is a huge video game
There
guy.
you go.
So what does that entail,
that's
being
wonderful.
a partner with a video game company? Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so it's really cool. You get to talk with the developers and you get to share about insight into the game, what you would like to see changed, what feedback you're hearing. You get perks, and they always, we're very good with the partners. They'd send some gift packages and some cool things like that. But really it's just helping promote a good game and sharing that and just having a little bit of insight and discussion into what the game could look like in the future. There was a lot of amazing people that I was connected with, a lot of influential people, and it was just cool to kind of be like side by side with them. And I'm like, what am I even doing here?
Cool.
But it was a great time.
Russ, do me a favor. I want you to pull up that photo that we've got of Christian, get him on there so our audience knows what I'm talking about and can put a face to the name. That's pretty cool that you had that going on. How does something like that start? Do they reach out to you initially?
Mike, they had this application process, and so many people applied for it, and they had all of these requirements, and meet this, and I literally wrote them up this thing. I'm like, guys, I don't meet any of these requirements. I run a clean stream. I love Jesus, and I'm trying to bring up a positive community. And, lo and behold, they accepted me.
Wow.
And I'm like, all right,
That's
yeah,
cool.
God for the win.
Yeah, well, that's exactly right, though, because that's exactly what it shows, right? If God wants you to be somewhere, you're going to be there regardless of what the details are involved, right?
Hallelujah.
Because so many
Absolutely.
people would be turned away by that. They'd see that and they just give up, throw their hands in the air, say, you know what, this is probably not a good fit for me. I'll never get this. I'm not even going to try. But God puts you in the right place at the right time. What he wants to be done will be done. What he doesn't want done ain't going to happen, right?
No. There's one thing that I'm learning, and it's that God's will be done. You look at Jonah. He tried to run a big old whale ate him up and spit him out on the shore of where his job was to be done. And you can run, but the Lord wants to use you. He will certainly do so.
Doesn't that sort of take the pressure off when you think about it? When you think about that, listen, I'm going to do the best that I can, control what I can control, but I understand that ultimately it's God's decision as to what's going to happen. And, if he wants it to happen, it will. If he doesn't, then it won't. So doesn't that take the pressure off a little bit?
It really does, because when you just give it to the Lord, and he's the one that gives blessings, he's the one that allows all things, he's the one that allows us to wake up in the morning. So when you just surrender that over to him and you allow him to do the increase, allow him to do the work, there is no pressure. We're just a mouthpiece, we're just hands, we're just feet, just spreading his love.
I'm glad you got that picture up there, Russ. Billy Chris, you can see him now?
Yeah, it looks good. It looks like you're a Canon guy.
Tell me that.
Hey, I am a
right.
Canon guy.
Me too.
Let's
I love
go.
Canon. Is it a 5D you got there?
Best.
5D?
Yeah, 5D Mark
5D.
IV. She's
Awesome.
my baby.
That's a killer camera, yeah.
So when you're the photographer, who takes the picture of you? How does that work?
I'm still trying to find someone to take pictures of me. It's funny when you have the camera in your hand, you get very few pictures taken of you.
That's what I think. But look at this guy. Tell me he doesn't look like a movie star.
Yeah, you do.
Tell me you could blame me for not thinking I recognized him from somewhere.
Right. No, he looks like
Nah,
somebody.
you're too kind. Come on. Thank you.
For those of us just tuning in, you're listening to Mike G in the Morning with The Law Matters, only on the Freedom Station, WFYL. So, Christian, one of the things you brought up in the middle of our conversation is you felt like God was leading you in a different direction, possibly, and sort of shifting gears a little bit. Why don't you tell our audience a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. Lately, I've been praying. Well, for months now, I've been praying for focus. And when you ask, and seek and knock, the doors will be open, and you'll find, and he'll show you the way. And he's been slowly taking my desires for like streaming away and golf and other passions that I have, and he's been placing it towards a water and an air business. And what we can do is we can bring the quality of a hospital to the convenience of your home, and we just have the heart for people's health and life-sustaining products that can help that longevity for their lives and to just sustain the quality of life that they desire. Basically, we pull out the carcinogens in the water and the pathogens out of the air, and it just makes for a whole house that is purified and clean.
So is this something that is already up and running, or is this something that's in the planning stage? Where are you with that?
Yeah, so right now, my business partner and I were just kind of putting the ducks in a row. We're in the pre-startup stage, but we are now legal, federal, and state, and we're very, very close to being rocking and rolling. So it's an exciting time for us, and really look forward to what the Lord's going to do with that and all the lives that we can pour into.
We're definitely going to have you back on the program to discuss that once you are up and running, give everybody an update. Mm-hmm. So when you started getting into this, how did you decide air, water, and that sort of thing? Where does that come from? Do you have any background in that, or is it something that God just put on your heart out of nowhere?
Yeah, so my business partner has had this idea for a little while now, and God's really imprinted that on his heart, and him and I are both divinely connected. We're on fire for the Lord, and both entrepreneurial and just have a business mindset. But he has background in pharmaceuticals, and he really he has the business side of it, and I got the marketing vision side of it. So together we're somewhat of a dream team, if you will.
That's great. Now, what kinds of things do people normally find in their regular air and their water that would sort of surprise them? Is there anything that comes to mind you throw out there at people, kind of open up their eyes?
Well, what's really bad about all the municipality water in the United States is we use chlorine, and while that's good to kill most carcinogens, it produces chloramines, and it's really bad over a period of time. And there's you don't find lead too much, but in untested wells, Lord knows what is in there: arsenic, runoff, drain off from farms and fields, and as far as the bacteria that's in your air, I mean, if you have ductwork that hasn't been cleaned or condensation that's building up, I mean, it's just a breeding ground for mold, and you're just pumping that into your air. So having systems that continually stop that from being in your water right at the source and then filtrating your air every 30-40 minutes, it's really imperative to do so. And the two things that we need to live, water and air, we really take them for granted in what's in them, and we kind of trust what we've been told, but even so, it's not good, man.
You know, it's really amazing because you're talking about this scientific stuff, and we've got to be so careful these days not to get kicked off of YouTube, because if we say anything that is in contravention of their narrative, we will get removed, we will get censored. So I'm curious to see what they say about this. I don't know the first thing about the air and the and the water stuff. Maybe this is going to be against YouTube's their side of the story. We'll see what happens with that. I do have one more question. You briefly mentioned something about golf, which is something I hadn't heard in our 5-minute conversation at the gas station yesterday. What's that all about? You've been involved in golf?
Yeah, so I was basically born out of the womb with a golf club in my hand. My father, my grandparents played. I was very fortunate to grow up on a golf course, and golf and life really intertwine, and just being around good influence. But yeah, I started playing when I was like 4, competitively around like 7, went on through high school and played some in college, and was fortunate enough to win a men's club championship in 2017 up at Lewistown. But yeah, it's just a great passion and something I'll be able to do for the rest of my life, and really appreciative to be born into something like that.
Can you do that move that Tiger does where he bounces the ball and then like hits it?
Listen, that guy is incredible.
I'm just curious how hard that is.
It's quite difficult. I tried that, and let's say the ball ended up in a window. So
meant to do that.
That's right.
Yeah. Completely planned.
Well, Christian, we really appreciate you taking the time to join us. It's great talking to you again. I'm glad I had the opportunity to meet you yesterday. And we definitely have to keep in touch, because we want you to come back on and give everybody an update when you guys get up and running, all right?
Yeah, absolutely. Mike, Russ, Chris, really appreciate your guys' time. Thank you so much for having me on. God bless you and your viewers.
God bless. Take care.
Real pleasure there. It's great conversation.
For those of us tuning in, you're listening to Mike G in the Morning with The Law Matters, only on the Freedom Station, WFYL. So, Philly Chris, I know you have been chomping at the bit. We are here in the Rogue Hours at this point.
Rogue.
We have gone rogue. We got to get like a new video graphic. Now that we got the Mike G buckle up and enjoy the ride graphic for the intro and everything, we got to get some kind of graphic for when we go rogue, right?
That's right. We'll make a little rogue action.
Rogue hours.
Maybe us driving at nighttime or something.
Driving with no wheels.
That's right.
Or maybe we'll have some kind of an animal driving and us sitting in the back. That's really more like the rogue. Hey, Russ, I was surprised you didn't pop in when we started talking video games. I thought we weren't going to be able to get you shut up.
I've actually never played PUBG.
What? Does it even exist then? Was he fooling us? Was he pulling our leg? There's really no such video game.
You know what? It's just in the style that I play. I'm not really a fan of like the PvP or the Battle Royale kind of stuff.
What does that mean, Battle Royale?
It means it's like every man for himself kind of thing.
Okay.
The basic premise is you take 100 people, stuff them in a certain size arena, and they battle to the death.
Oh.
either with
Wow.
weapons, guns, or chickens.
So, like when you play GoldenEye with a bunch of people,
I've never
James
played
Bond on
GoldenEye.
Nintendo
You're an old
64,
man.
is that kind of like that?
I've never played GoldenEye. You're just an old man.
Oh, good. That's incredible. That's incredible. And
I
meanwhile,
have-
Philly
I
Chris,
have
the
an
first time he
N64,
played
but I never
GoldenEye,
played
he thought it
GoldenEye.
was that aliens had sent it. That was the kind of technology that it was at
Hey,
that
that's
point.
right. Hey, my modem used to make noises like.
Yeah, remember that?
Yeah.
I had a tape deck like that. I used to store, the tapes that you stored stuff on. Texas Instruments. You ever see
Now,
one of those,
Russ,
Ross?
Russ, what was the video game that you and I played last summer? Because I don't know if you know this, Philly Chris. Russ was the first person that I saw after the pandemic.
Oh,
When
really?
people
Oh,
finally
okay.
started leaving their homes, Russ was
guys
the
are holding
first
out.
person that I saw. Yeah, I went up to the North Pole and hung
Out
out
of
with
all
Russ.
the people, it was Ross, huh?
Out of all the people, it was
Yep.
Russ. I remember taking a picture of the two of us and sending it over to Susan. Like, look who I found.
That's
But
cool.
we
Look what
started
I
playing
found at the
video-
North Pole.
What's that?
Look what I found at the North Pole.
Yeah. I
Right.
went all the way to the North Pole, and guess who was there? But we were playing a video game, Russ. What were we playing?
That was called Mortal Kombat Deception.
Oh,
Okay,
that
Mortal
sounds-
Kombat.
I
Yes.
played that in the arcade when it was like a quarter.
But
The
then
old-
wasn't there also a game that you and I were playing where we both had guns and we were on the same team? And
Yeah, that was oh wow, that was Halo.
Halo.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, we
so
were battling aliens.
Well, there
Gotcha.
you go. Did you
Yeah.
replay it on the show?
Yeah, maybe we could do that sometime. That would be
Do a
fun.
live stream.
Yeah.
That would be fun.
I think
right?
you can. Isn't that what Twitch is really all about?
It is.
Isn't that how
It
it
is about
started out?
gaming.
Is people are playing video games on the platform?
Yeah, if you get an Xbox 360 or an Xbox One, you can get Halo. What is it? Combat
Let's
Evolved
not get
Anniversary.
carried away here, Russ.
I
Maybe
have
I'll
an
come over.
Atari 5200.
Maybe I'll come up to the North Pole and we'll do it in person. We'll do it live.
We'll do it
right.
live.
I'll write it and we'll do it live.
Do it live.
That mean to play us out.
We need some sound bites. I'll have to work on
Yeah.
that. I had a question for Christian. I'll have to ask him the next time he's on the show
Oh,
was-
good.
about the water thing. But
Did I cut you off?
no, I didn't want to put him on the spot. It's about deuterium. Apparently, a lot of the water is now becoming heavy water. It has a modification to the two hydrogen and the oxygen atom. I was watching some stuff about it the other day and found it pretty intriguing because it looks like he's very correct about our water supply being tainted, if that's true. I wonder if his equipment would do anything with that. But
Wow.
we'll leave it for next time.
Yeah. Pretty
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
Pretty cool. So, what do we have over here on tap for the Rogue Hour? I know you had a bunch of stuff ready to roll.
Well, yeah.
Oh, hold on. Russ
ahead.
is making me go ahead and do my job so we can pay the bills around here. Perfectly fine. I want to remind our listeners of the powerhouse lineup we've got here at the Freedom Station
Getting
WFYL.
fancy with the slides.
We've got Ben Shapiro bringing you the Ben Shapiro Show weekdays from 3 to 5 p.m. Scott Adams coming at you with the Scott Adams Show weekdays from 9 a.m. until noon. Second Amendment advocate Dana Lash coming at you weekdays from noon right until Ben Shapiro. And finally, we've got the very, very special Michael Knowles bringing you the Michael Knowles Show weekdays from 5 to 6 p.m. So don't forget to tune in and show him some love. Those of us just tuning in, you're listening to Mike G in the morning with The Law Matters, only on the Freedom Station, WFYL. So now the floor is yours, Philly Chris. What have you got on deck for us today?
Well, because we've been talking about the UFO phenomenon for a while now, and it's becoming more mainstream, I've been keeping an eye on it, and there are a couple of videos released recently. There's one in particular that I did want to comment on because I believe it was last week and maybe even before last week's show, I've mentioned to kind of look at the narrative, see where the narrative's going. We've talked about several folks who have come out of the government, like Luis Elizondo. We've talked about Dr. Greer, who's got his documentary coming out, his new documentary next month. And I think it's important to maybe look at the information that's being provided regarding this topic because of how significant it will probably be ultimately. But I found some troubling things in the CNN video that was released yesterday, because to me, it seems like they were saying things that were not necessarily accurate about some of the information that's been provided in many of these documentaries, specifically about Bob Lazar, for example. So maybe we can play. We don't have to play this whole video, Russ, but in a moment I'll ask you to pull up that CNN link there that I sent you earlier for the show. I don't. It's probably, maybe we could play the whole thing.
Russ, the whole thing's 11 and a half minutes.
Yeah, okay. That's too long. Yeah, but I have some markers there in the document. But I think that before I have you play it, I just kind of want to mention what I noticed, because I've been trying to keep up with this for the show, and for my own personal curiosity too. I find it pretty fascinating, and we don't know what they are yet, but there are people out there claiming to have more information, like Dr. Greer and Bob Lazar, and Bob Lazar's story has checked out pretty well over the years since he came out in 1989, and there's a couple of things in particular in this video that I find misleading based on the documentaries and the videos.
CNN misleading?
Right, yeah, right.
Get out of town.
Right, get out of town.
Are we even allowed to say that?
Well, hey, I'm saying possibly. It's so crazy right now, and it shouldn't be a surprise. But I think that, again, the narrative that is being put out there regarding this information is, we need to look at it carefully, because Dr. Greer is trying to warn people, and his perspective is pretty serious if he's right. And he's got these folks who have come out and told him that, the deep state, our government, has this technology. And there's a lot of information out there to support that for people who want to go and dive deeper into this.
So Chris and I got together this weekend for the first time in a while.
And it was wonderful. Thank you.
Guess what that turned into? It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. But guess what happened?
Yeah, well, that's cool. It was fun.
We ended up watching YouTube videos about Bob Lazar and UFOs. And then it turned into the pyramids somehow.
Right, that's right.
Lengthy documentary on the pyramids. It's absolutely fascinating. But that's
I'm
why
glad you enjoyed it.
That's why you got to hang out with Philly Chris. You end up doing things you would have never otherwise done in a million years.
I'm fascinated by that stuff. I find it pretty. I mean, the pyramids themselves. Maybe we can talk about them on the show, but they're amazing, and there's a lot more to them than we've been taught in school. So
sure, yeah, that became incredibly obvious watching the documentaries, for sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
It's fascinating, and
because you hear some of the things that they've pushed as being the truth about the pyramids in those documentaries. Right. They say this has been, historically, the narrative this has been accepted as generally true. But
that's right.
Why don't you check this out a little bit? We look at it, it's like, wow, how did anybody accept that they were saying is true? Like, only a knucklehead would believe that.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. Yeah. It's pretty compelling. It's pretty compelling. The new.
Sort of makes you think about history in general differently, though, right? Well, it's like, well, if somebody fed us X, Y, and Z about the pyramids, that clearly makes no sense whatsoever.
That's right.
What else are they feeding us about other topics that people just haven't really looked into? They got this basic synopsis as what is generally accepted in their, middle school, high school, even college education, and haven't gone any further. And the proper questions are not asked.
Right. Yeah, and look what's going on right now with the critical race theory. So.
Sure. That could be a whole entirely different episode.
Right. Tune in next time. But what I'll do is maybe I'll point out real quick some of the things that we're going to see here. If you want to go ahead and cue it up to about 5 minutes and 15 seconds, Russ, in a moment I'll ask you to start there.
What about 4:30? Because I see in the document 4:30.
Yeah, you could do that too. Actually, that's a good remind. Yeah, let's start there, because that's Commander Fravor, who we've talked about, and we played other videos on the show, and there's a nice quick segment there where he goes over some of his sightings for those of you who haven't seen this yet or hadn't tuned in.
I know him. He's the rap artist, right? Flavor Flav.
That's right. Flavor Flav. Yo, what's up? I used to listen to WBLS out of New York back in the 80s, listening to the original rap. I got some of those tapes later on. We should play those. But anyway.
Great life.
Yeah, it would be fun. Some great music back then.
You're gonna have to wear a sideways hat for that one, okay?
A sideways MAGA hat. Let's do it. That's right.
All right. You guys should produce a rap for the Rogue Hours. That's what you should do.
So let's start at the 4:30. That sounds good, Russ. We'll start at 4:30.
Yeah, it's at the 4:30.
But what I want people to notice as it goes into the section about Bob Lazar is they're painting him as a conspiracy theorist. And they're also claiming that he said that these craft are buried there. In all the documentaries I've seen, He's never said that. As a matter of fact, he specifically says he went into a hangar and saw 9 of them and was able to touch them and go inside them. So they're not buried there. He never said that. He put his hands on them.
Well,
and then
isn't it interesting that they also at some point said that he never existed there and he didn't work there and there's no records of him working there. And then somebody found some directory from the time period and his name's clearly right there.
That's right.
And then when they called back, who was the reporter? Who was the reporter? Because this is going back to the 1980s, I believe, right?
Yeah, that was the original reporter. And what is his name? I should have it off the top of my head.
Pretty reputable guy, right?
Yeah, no, he's followed him and he's been involved with the documentaries. I know his name.
I don't think they make reporters like that guy anymore, right?
No, he's like the real deal. He's an award-winning reporter, and he's been involved with the documentaries, and I think, connected him to some other people.
George Knapp?
Yeah, that's it. Thank you, George Knapp. I was trying to
George
look
Knapp.
at it.
Yeah, so when he was doing this investigative report,
yes,
he finds this directory from the time period, and Lazar's name's right there. He's got a name and telephone number, title, and so he calls back and says, "Hey, when you guys say that he didn't work here, did you mean that he did?" And apparently, they just blew him off again. They got flustered and mad and said, "No, we have no records of him working here," and that was it. And they hung up on him. They couldn't get anything more out of them. So that's a little questionable at the outset. That's going back to the 80s, right?
Yeah, and somehow George Knapp got to go there with him, and they went in the building, and this was Los Alamos Lab, which is a pretty big facility, I believe. And they went in, and he gave him a tour. So obviously he knew the facility.
Lazar knew exactly where everything was.
Yeah,
right?
People knew him there. Yeah. Yeah.
Hi, man who...
Wait, he worked there and people knew him? No way.
My entire life.
We're not supposed to talk about you. But here's your old desk. Just like you had it.
The old desk from when you never worked here.
Right. The other thing to look out for in this clip we're going to watch is it appears they're erroneously playing a clip of him talking about the S4 entrance. Now, at the Area 51 site, Bob Lazar worked at the S4 section, and it was built into a mountain. So the hangar door, is the entrance to the facility. And he's talking about it, how it's covered in, sand and made to look like the terrain of the mountain, so that when the spy satellites from Russia and other countries trying to come over, they can't see the facility. But in this clip, to me, I would interpret it that they're trying to say that Bob Lazar was saying that they're buried in there and they made it look like sand, which is not factual at all. So these people, So anyway, we'll see what. Roll it, Russ.
Along with the images and a now defunct $22 million program designed to investigate UFOs. So what are we to believe about moments like this?
Whoa, it's getting close. Whoa, splashed.
Members of the U.S. Navy captured that footage of an unidentified flying object spotted off the coast of California in July 2019, just before it vanished into the ocean. And with so few answers, extraterrestrials have become a favorite subject for conspiracy theorists, with much of the focus on a highly classified U.S. Air Force testing facility in Nevada, known as Area 51. Bob Lazar is the conspiracy theorist and former physicist who says he worked at the secretive government research site, Area 51. He says he was hired to reverse engineer a flying saucer buried there.
This came from somewhere else. I mean, as bizarre as that is to believe, but I mean, it's there. I saw it.
Others have bought into his claims that the U.S. government buried extraterrestrial technology at Area 51.
It looks like sand. It's made to look like the side of the mountain that it's in, whether it's to disguise it from satellite photographs.
So until someone says for sure what's really out there...
No sound, no blinking lights, just this big illuminated form.
We'll be left still to wonder. Randy Kay, CNN, Miami.
And joining me now is former
At the
Senate
end of it?
Majority Leader Harry Reid. While in office,
This is pretty good,
he
too, the
secured
part
the
with
money
Harry
for a
Reid.
now defunct Pentagon program
Harry the
investigating
Reid.
UFOs. He's also been one of the loudest voices calling for the government to release this information about these close encounters in the sky, or whatever these things are in the sky. So, Senator, let me ask you this. This report apparently says there's no evidence that these objects were alien spacecraft, but they're
No
not ruling it
evidence.
out
I love that
either.
line.
Were you hoping for more from this report? I know I was.
There's no evidence.
Well, I really
We can't find
had
any.
a
This guy never worked here.
preliminary run of what they were going to come up with, and it wasn't going to be much. And it isn't much. My take on this is that they should continue the research on this. It shouldn't be a one and done. I believe that one of the things I did that I'm glad I did, I made a decision because of my curiosity that I thought we should find out what, if anything, there was to these UFOs. And that's when I went to Stevens from Alaska and Inouye from Hawaii, and said, I told him what I wanted to do. I wanted to spend some money to corroborate what they were trying to find out. And Stevens said immediately, he said, good, I want to do this. He said, there was a pilot in World War II, and there was something was in the air off to my left. I would go up, down, around, got low on fuel, came back down, landed. I asked air traffic what that was. He said, we didn't see anything. So with the money that we got from the taxpayers, we found that I thought maybe there'd be a few dozen people saying they saw things like this, but we learned that there were hundreds and hundreds of them. And so even though my staff said, stay the hell away from this, I was something I was bound and determined to do. He said it would hurt me, my re-elections. Didn't hurt me that much. I got re-elected. So I think it's a good thing for the country. It's a good thing for the world. And the American people can accept the truth, whatever is the truth. We need to be transparent in everything we're doing in the government. Let the American people know what we're doing scientifically and otherwise.
And Senator, I have to ask you, because I know the folks at home will want me to ask this question. Do you believe that these UFOs are alien spacecraft? And is the government trying to cover it up? You were the Senate Majority Leader, Senator, for a long time here in Washington. What can you tell us about both of those questions? Do you think they exist, and is the government covering this up? I do not know what they are.
Yeah, I don't know what they are. No one does, to my knowledge, at this time. But that's why I say this task force that's going to report later this month should continue. We're not going to solve all the questions we have in a few weeks. We need to continue working with it. This is something that is interesting. It's important to the country, and it could be important to the world.
Okay.
And
so he basically said nothing more than what Philly Chris has said so far, right? Hey, something there people need to know. He didn't have any special insight there, really, did he? I think it's interesting that he said that it would hurt his chances for re-election, and they told him not to talk about that. I'm not hearing Philly Chris.
Chris, you're muted. What are you doing?
Oh, sorry, I must
muted?
have hit mute. Yeah, I think it's interesting to hear his perspective. And one of the key things he mentioned in there was the things that were seen in the sky back in World War II. They called them the Foo Fighters. There's a lot of documents about that. And these things have been around for a long time. This is nothing new. There's a lot of historical documents you can go back and look at. And hey, I'm not here trying to convince anybody of anything, but I do find that this is, it's compelling that all this is going on right now. We're, through a pandemic. The government is now acknowledging that they've basically been withholding this information from us. From a security standpoint, I understand some of that. But if people like Dr. Greer and others are right that some of this technology was figured out, 50, 70 years ago and has been kept from modern society, they're claiming that these things are antimatter reactors using element 115, and they put out enough energy to power a city. I've mentioned it before, the Green New Deal. So I think we need to keep our eye on it. And if there were to be turned against humanity or a country, these things make our military basically completely ineffective. Even our stealth aircraft, our aircraft carriers, our fighter jets that have vector thrust, all these pilots are like, it's a joke. I can't compete with that. It can move at 90-degree angles. Some of these things are being tracked at 20 over 20,000 miles an hour. That means they could go around the globe in an hour. There's nothing we have that's been shared with the public that could do that. So somebody's hiding something, or they're extraterrestrials. But what's going on. So anyway, yeah. Also, there was a big article, I think yesterday too, about how I mentioned this before in the show, but now it's becoming more mainstream, where they've been interfering with our nuclear facilities, disarming our nuclear ICBMs and things of that nature. There's people in the military have come out and said they see these things show up in their discs, and they shoot lasers down into the silos and disarm independent, nuclear facilities. That's a message of some kind from someone. What if it is China? What if it is Russia? Or
who are they
disarming? Else, but
are they disarming us?
What's that?
Are they disarming?
Yeah, they're
the
turning off they're disarming. Yeah, they're basically shutting down the capability at that nuclear facility. That's happened multiple times. There's been military personnel who have reported it. Again, people do your own research. I've seen a lot of it at this point. It seems like there's a lot of things that are being suppressed that probably need to be taken more seriously, in my humble opinion.
Do you think the Green New Deal with going with wind power and solar power, do you think that's an attempt to make us even weaker with our already primitive comparatively to the UFOs that we're seeing? We have really basic technology compared to that. Do you think the Green New Deal is to set us back even farther and make us even more like fish in a barrel?
In some ways, yeah, I think
More
you're
like
right, Russ, because it puts more restrictions.
Yeah, but does it matter? I mean, from what you're describing, would it matter?
I think with our stuff, maybe we have a fighting chance. I played quite a few video games, and you know what? Let me tell you something that is completely unrelated to the real world, but something that I did achieve. Okay, I was in this. There's this game called Midnight Club 3 Dub Edition Remix. It is arguably the best one that they've made so far. I have it on Xbox, and there's classes of vehicles. There's different speeds, different upgrades you can get. I was in a Mitsubishi Eclipse from like 2006. Okay. And I had it. It wasn't all maxed out or anything. It was maybe like the mid-tier Mitsubishi that you can get. And I was up against like 8 Corvettes. And I was able to drive well enough to beat them all and come in first place. Just barely. But I beat, with a D-class car, I beat a bunch of B-classed vehicles. So if you're really good at what you do, then you do have a fighting chance. But I think the Green New Deal will set us back, and we won't have a fighting chance. Right now, if we are masters of our own technology, it doesn't matter how primitive it is. Wasn't George Washington, wasn't he outnumbered? Yeah.
Well, Project Veritas there, James O'Keefe released some things recently about what was leaked from CNN again regarding their attempt to really push the global, the change, they're calling it now, global change instead of the global warming, climate change, excuse me, is what I'm trying to say.
Because the warming, what happened with the warming?
Well,
Did they say we're going to be in the ice age soon in like the 70s or something?
Yeah, they did. Yeah. And the Earth.
Everybody forgot about that.
Right. And it's happened multiple times. There's a lot of evidence, historical evidence, showing up all over the Earth right now, which is interesting timing. Where there's quite a few temples and pyramids showing up down on the Yucatan Peninsula now that they're using this LiDAR scanning, and they say it was like the population of Manhattan down there at one time. With all these temples and pyramids, and supposedly there's things showing up in Antarctica. So it's something to take a look at. We were talking about the pyramids, and Göbekli Tepe is another site that just showed up that was buried intentionally, they found, and it's changing the history of humanity, because people thought there was just hunter-gatherers back then, and this temple is elaborate and it has imagery on it, and it's carved, and a lot of science going on there. So anyway, there's quite a bit going on other than the pandemic. So what's really critical here to look at, and where are we going with all of this stuff? But We'll see.
So
what
the
people
dude who
wanna do.
wrote that article that was famous from the 1970s comes out and writes an article now that says, "My 1975 cooling world story doesn't make today's climate scientists wrong." So he's saying,
Well, you know what, guys?
although I was wrong last time, I'm right.
Right,
this
right. Yeah, well, they've changed it from global warming to climate change, and the climate's always changing. Every day is different, right?
Well,
sure.
You can't control that.
That's the part that I was going to bring up, gentlemen, because if the temperature of the Earth wasn't fluctuating, what would it be? It'd be pretty stagnant, which is probably more alarming than if it was changing rapidly.
Mm-hmm.
Because if it's staying the same, then that means that there's a bunch of stagnation going on. There would be no wind, there would be no essentially natural disasters. Which maybe that's what they're aiming for, because without wind, without their next step would be to blow up the moon.
Yeah,
I wouldn't be surprised if that was Elon Musk's or Zuckerberg's plan, is to just blow up the moon. Then we lose the tides. Then everything just goes out of control. Then we have to go to Mars, and we have to use their technology, and it's probably going to cost a lot. Either that, or you can trade your data for it.
That might be a good place for a data storage site.
Well, Zuckerberg is hungry for data.
To have somebody come on and knows more about how they predict these patterns and everything like that, and these changes, the way you're saying, because I remember being in college. I think I've told you about this, Philly Chris. I don't know if it was on or off the air, but short enough that you could hear it again if you've ever heard the story. But we were in biology class, and the professor in college is teaching us about climate change, and this is how we know that the climate is changing. These are the cycles that it's gone through, and they use these ice cores, and show them drawing.
Yeah.
And this is the same guy who, taught evolution. Earth is this many years old, and he said, "This is how they do it. They look at these ice cores." I said, "Well, how long of a pattern do you ultimately see on those ice cores?" He said, 5 or 10,000 years. So you see the cycles from the last 5 or 10,000 years is what you're telling me? Yes. Didn't you previously tell us that the Earth is 4.6 billion years old?
Right.
It's like a blip in time.
So isn't it possible that 5 or 10,000 years is a very small part of a very small cycle that we've already seen somewhere within 4.6 billion years, if that's what you're telling me? I don't know. I'm no scientist. You're the scientist. I'm not the scientist. I'm just somebody who just knows how to use his freaking head. That's all.
Well, Mike. Mike, that brings me to one of my favorite sayings. I forget where I heard it, but it goes like this: you don't have to be a 5-star chef to say a meal tastes lousy.
Right.
And so
you've also said the other way. I think you've also said it the other way around, because I've actually used that at a seminar about how just because somebody's been around guns their entire life doesn't mean that they're an expert on firearm safety or proficiency.
Yeah.
And said, I've got a buddy of mine who always says, I've eaten in a lot of nice restaurants, doesn't make me a 5-star chef, right?
There you go.
Right.
Yeah, so it works both ways.
That's right. Yeah, and, it's bad data. They don't really have enough data. And I think there are some ice cores they've done more recently that are actually like millions of years old, but that's still such a short time scale on the Earth's evolutionary path.
Millions?
And,
Did you say
it's
millions?
changed. 2.7 million is my understanding, but in Antarctica.
Find me that order.
Let's see here. I just pulled it up to check because I thought there was some. August 21st, 2017, oldest ice core ever drilled. So it's more recent, though, than what they were probably teaching us back,
2017?
Yeah, scientists working in the
college in the 1800s.
Right, exactly right. So that's what I'm saying. It's probably back then they didn't have them this old, but because they've been able to explore Antarctica. quite a bit more for some reason. They're spending a lot of time up there.
Well, probably all the snow
But
melted so they could drill farther in the ice, right?
They're looking for you at the North Pole, I think.
Yeah, the North Pole and Antarctica. Good job, Chris.
That's right. That's right.
Wait, you win geology.
Yeah, I'm just kidding. But yeah, fascinating stuff, though.
Yeah,
interesting stuff.
Very interesting. For those of us just tuning in, you're listening to Mike G in the Morning with The Law Matters, only on the Freedom Station, WFYL. I know at least one of our listeners is going to be very happy with us this evening. The gentleman who asked why the live stream wasn't 3 hours long a couple of weeks ago.
Oh, yeah, that's
Incredibly
right.
flattered.
That's right.
Incredibly flattered. So we still got a few things that I want to get to. Out of the UFOs, man ticketed in Canada for shaking hands. What's this all about?
Squidward.
Yeah, I saw that one. Yeah, that's pretty crazy.
And it's a bad mother shut your mouth, right?
Shut the front door.
Yeah, it's just bizarre. It's bizarre to see that go down. I mean, thankfully we're not having that happen here, but who knows? Maybe next year.
Guy goes to the joint, he comes out with the spiderweb tattoos on his elbows. It's got the teardrop tattoo.
Right.
What do you?
Welcome to Nazi Canada.
Right.
I was walking around one day, saw this guy on the street, sized him up, and I shook his hand, and I wished him a good day. Oh my God! You monster!
You horrible person.
Stay away from that dude. Why don't we see that video?
Is it in the doc?
Yes, Russ. How do you not have the doc up?
I'm
You've got
sorry.
one job!
I'm sorry, Mike. I'm sorry. I didn't
Mike?
expect you guys to actually use it this time.
Oh, yeah.
Pardon me.
Your world, Russ. We're just living in it.
And don't you forget it. Let's see. Man ticketed. Here we go. Do I play the whole thing?
Yes, please.
Oh, it's portrait mode?
How's it going, man?
Officer Dietrich, City of Hamilton bylaw. I have you here in violation of the Reopening of Ontario Act, gathering with a crowd of more than 5 people.
So that's a pre-written ticket again, just for the record?
I had the ticket made up inside when I saw you out here.
So what was I doing exactly when I was talking to one of the
I
protesters
saw
here?
you walking around, getting within 3 meters.
Oh, that's how it is. Well, so if I just talk to someone, that's within 2 meters?
I also want you shaking their hand.
Oh, I guess I'm breaking the law there. Okay, you got me there.
So
Great.
this is the ticket, provincial offense notice,
Yeah,
and the Reopening of Ontario Act for attending a gathering of more than 5 people.
thank you.
Your options are on the back. Your options are to either pay it,
Yeah.
an early resolution with a prosecutor,
Mm-hmm.
or you can have your day in court if you choose to.
Yeah,
You understand your options?
I understand my options now.
So there's your provincial offense.
Thank you.
Now this is an administrative penalty notice.
Oh,
City of
for what?
Hamilton.
Yeah.
This is for shaking hands with the public.
No way.
Fail to maintain a distance of at least 2 meters from another person.
Wait, did they measure the 2 meters?
Bylaw 2164.
I didn't see them measure it.
Once again,
It's
your
like a
options
new
are on the
radar
back,
gun.
voluntary payment,
Yeah, right.
or you have
Eyeball.
the option
Eyeball
to
it.
be with with an officer, and you can argue. Okay?
So that's strictly just for shaking hands with someone.
For shaking hands, not maintaining 2 meters for the distance.
Okay, so for the record, can I get your name and badge number?
Officer Dietrich, number 370.
370, thanks. Lee, supervisor here, guys, as always.
Wow.
Wow.
Well, there you go.
Just insanity. Yeah. I would have tried to shake his hand at the end and been like, you probably trick him into it, you know?
Yeah, right.
Oh, you get a ticket now
Yeah,
too.
probably
You just
could,
broke
right?
the law too.
Yeah, I gotcha.
Here, take this ticket back.
You
It's
know,
just silly. It's like a
from the bottom of
carnival
my
now.
heart, thank you for protecting and serving, sir.
That's right. I gotcha.
I'm going to write you a ticket, sir.
Yeah. And he's within like 3 feet of him, and it looks like in the video. So.
Oh, yeah.
So dumb. Yeah. So dumb.
Just take it out a tape measure.
Right.
I don't
Right.
know if the arguing that the police officer also broke the law, because like if you get a speeding ticket and the officer was following you, couldn't you just point out, you were speeding too, buddy? I don't think that would work.
Then he's gonna bonk you on the head. Bonk.
He's gonna bonk me with the nightstick. No, shut up.
The rules don't apply to
You know
me.
that sound a wiffle ball bat makes when you hit the ball? You're like, bunk.
We need to get that
Tap you right
sound
in the head.
effect. Chris, you
Right.
got the most ball-like head. We'll
Russ, I
bonk
haven't
you and
heard of you
record.
getting any tickets lately. I'm very proud of you.
Yeah, that's good.
That's
Thanks.
because you don't have to drive to the station anymore.
Yeah,
right?
it's because I don't have to drive anymore. That's why. Hey, speaking of driving, PLC is tomorrow. The PA Leadership Conference.
Oh, yeah. Actually, I talked to Susan earlier about that. She gave me a
Yes.
call, so I'm going to try to go. I don't think I can go tomorrow, but maybe Saturday.
Yeah.
All right.
And,
Make sure you get
yeah.
plenty of footage that we can discuss. on
Yeah,
the-
yeah,
on
for the
the
show,
show.
yeah.
Yes.
Mhm.
I
You are-
believe they'll be giving I don't know if they just give this to the media, but they'll be giving like I guess DVDs or whatever of the people who spoke and stuff
cool.
like that.
Oh,
but
cool,
I'm
cool.
gonna be there with a bunch of mics with the
Oh, you're gonna
the
go, Russ?
camera.
Okay, good.
Yeah, I'm going. And I'll be there with
Awesome.
my laptops and stuff like that. And I'll have
You going both days?
I don't know. It's early in the morning.
Oh, come on, man.
Come on, man.
I know
Aw,
you,
man.
You can't make it, Mike. You said, right?
Not going to be able to attend. I
Yeah.
would absolutely love to. Unable, but
Well, if they have good enough
I'm going to be
internet-
that's why I'm going to be counting on you gentlemen. I'm going to be counting
Yeah,
on
that's
both
right.
of you.
Yeah,
Be there
yeah.
to be
Bring
square.
back plenty of footage that we can discuss on the program.
Yeah, if they have good enough internet, then we might do something live. So be on the lookout on the
We'll do
we'll
it
do
live.
So be on
That'd
be
be
on
cool.
the lookout for on the Twitch channel for that. Anything, and if we're not able to do it, meh. But anything that we do capture will probably go up on the Rumble. On the Rumble.
Very
I'll
good.
just leave it at that.
On the internet.
Yeah, on the Webernet. I'm gonna use my 56K modem. Just gonna get off the phone. I'm trying to use the internet.
I thought you were having a real situation for a minute there. I'm like, is Russ, are you okay?
All right, so we got another one. This guy got attacked while dancing. I heard the,
Oh,
the
yeah.
attacker was sentenced.
Oh, was he?
Yeah.
Wait, was it the Germantown dancer? Is he still around?
No.
Oh,
Here we go. Hang on.
I can't see it, though.
How's it going, man?
Can you see
Oh,
it, Mike?
Apologies for City of
I
Hamilton
cannot see
bylaw.
it.
I have you here in violation of the reopening
I'm
of
seeing
Ontario Act,
actually.
gathering with a crowd
Wait, is
of
that
more
the
than 5
same
people.
thing?
So that's a pre-written
I'm
ticket
seeing
again,
the
just for
ticket
the
guy.
record?
Yeah, that's the
The,
ticket guy. We
ticket
couldn't
made
see
You
it
said
last
you
time.
said
I
the
did.
wrong
Oh,
thing,
because-
Chris.
So what were they doing exactly?
No, that's
What magic is?
Oh, is it?
Wait.
Or did you give
No,
the wrong
I
link?
clicked on the wrong one. I'm the idiot this time.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah,
I'm
just
gonna
this
call
time.
you out
Look there.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any sound.
I don't think you need sound for this. Look at this.
Yeah, this is horrible.
Minding his own
This is
business.
terrific.
Boom.
Oh.
That's a crazy hit, too.
Oh, and somebody was in the getaway car too. Yo.
Yep. So they did catch him and sentence him, Mike?
He was sentenced. The man who randomly, this is from KSDK.com. The man who randomly sucker punched a 12-year-old boy who was dancing on a sidewalk was sentenced to 7 years in prison. Changed his plea to guilty earlier this month and was sentenced by a judge for a second-degree assault.
Oh man. I'm sure that was worth every 7 of those years to hit that kid. Jeez.
I believe I saw that he had a prior record. I don't want to make something up. Okay.
You know, I think
or
sometimes the
previously,
people-
the defendant previously pleaded guilty to first-degree endangering the welfare of a child and driving while under the influence. He was sentenced to probation for domestic assault in April 2019, and the mother of his child was granted an order of protection against him also in 2019. So sounds like a nice guy, right?
Yeah. Sounds like he's totally not a teabag.
I guess that works, right? Can we use that as an insult? and get away
Yeah.
with it?
He's a big old pile of Yorkshire tea. A teabag.
Yorkshire tea. All right, we can use that one from now on.
Yeah.
To the rogue hours, it doesn't matter.
It's sad. A lot of people out there on the street, in their own worlds, kids not bothering anybody, and somebody comes up and just does something like that to them. Not good.
Yeah, it's crazy. I think sometimes the folks on the left who are against the Second Amendment don't see these videos or appreciate the reality of a situation like that. It's pretty easy to get, taken out.
Okay, what was the fate of the getaway driver? Because the guy pulled up. I can play the video again. The guy pulled up in the dark SUV.
Play it again. It's short enough that you can play it again.
Do it live.
So the guy pulls up in this dark SUV.
I see nothing. Do you see anything, Philly Chris?
Oh, hang on.
I do not.
Hang on. There we go. You should see it now. So they pulled up, and he goes boom, and then the guy takes off.
Yeah.
Who was driving? I want to know who was driving, and what their sentence was.
Right. Because it's cool that the people tried to sort of intervene or help a little bit.
It's too late. The one guy's like, "What the hell, man?"
What's the penalty for that, Mike? Yeah. Of somebody basically just driving the getaway car, dropped them off at the crime scene.
It's accomplice liability, right? I think you could see a charge for that. You could see a charge for, I guess, conspiracy to some degree. Listen, I see a lot of things overcharged. So if they don't charge this guy with as much as they can, then something's wrong. But we all know something's wrong anyhow. But being on the criminal defense side, I often see charges thrown out sort of willy-nilly. So you can't possibly win on this thing in this case.
Look at all the witnesses converging to make sure that he's okay. They want to get the license plate number and stuff.
Yeah, I wonder how they did that.
Yeah. Maybe they pulled it from a better camera that was nearby or something. Yeah. Maybe. And there's cameras. Yeah, there's cameras everywhere now. But I don't understand what possesses people to do that. It's just really backwards thinking.
Get some sick people out there.
No, the lights are too bright to get it out of this video.
Bad people. Some sick, very bad people.
Yeah.
So just a reminder.
Sort of like that.
Situational awareness. I mean, it's tough because you don't want to think, you can't be out there enjoying yourself dancing like that kid. Like you can never have that kind of a moment because you're simply unaware of your surroundings. But it's just a reminder. Just a reminder. There's some bad people out there who do intend to do you harm.
Yeah.
Not like the left would want you to think. Everybody,
numbers around
everybody
here
is generally good people. Everybody's generally good when it comes down to it. Yeah, no.
Maybe the day you're born. Yeah.
Well, we got that other link that's in the doc.
Yeah,
the
tolerant leftist. Tolerant leftist.
Yeah, be good.
Should we play that one now?
Yeah, why not?
All right, here we go.
Got a little flip the sound a little bit.
Backlash building over New York City-based psychiatrist saying she fantasizes about killing white people during a speech at Yale University. Dr. Aruna Khilanani making those explosive comments in a guest lecture to medical students.
Whitey? Is that her last name's Whitey?
Apparently.
Of any white person that got in my way, daring their body, and wiping my bloody hands as I walked away relatively guiltless.
Back that up, Ross. I talked over it. I'm sorry. Back it up.
During a speech at Yale University. Dr. Aruna Khilanani making those explosive comments in a guest lecture to medical students back in April.
I had fantasies of unloading a revolver into the head of any white person that got in my way, daring their body, and wiping my bloody hands as I walked away relatively guiltless. With a bouncing like that, like I did the world a favor. White people are out of their minds, and they have been for a long time. We are asking a demented, violent predator who thinks that they're a saint or a superhero to accept responsibility. It ain't gonna happen. They have 5 holes in their brain.
The psychiatrist claims she was taken out of context and was speaking
metaphorically.
and Yale is now backtracking, saying in a statement that those comments are antithetical to school values, but the university was well aware of the
bloody
speech
hands,
and
I really
reportedly
meant love. See?
Oh my gosh.
Your ears don't work. Yeah, see?
It's just like Whitey to misinterpret what I said.
Right, yeah. You're the evil white devil.
Dr. Killer Whitey.
It's crazy, right?
Oh my goodness.
Here we are. Welcome to 2021, folks.
Yeah.
Shall I continue with the video, or have we heard enough?
Oh, I think we've heard enough.
All right.
Unless we're going to get her interpretation of it, I don't think so.
I don't know.
I think that's all we need to hear, right? I think people just need to hear what she said.
Yeah, it sounded
kind of
terrible.
You know, that
is there
sums it
any
up.
explanation she's going to give to our audience that the audience will be like, "Oh, well, Mike, come on, why didn't you say so?" That makes it completely different.
Well, it looks
I
like
think I mean, they've so effectively divided people, and I think she believes what she's saying. I mean, she has to get up in front of a, you do public speaking all the time, Mike. I've done some. Russ, you've been huge, traveling all over the world and stuff, doing it, and soon to become Mark. But you know what I mean? Like when you get up in front of a group and speak like with that level of confidence, you kind of have to believe your own nonsense. But take a look in the mirror. You're exactly what you're saying we are.
Right.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, that sounds a little prejudiced, if you ask me. I'm no professor or nothing like she is, right?
Yeah, what's going on at these schools? Could you imagine being in that room and all of a sudden you're witnessing this go down live? Like, how do you not stand up and say something like, "Oh, excuse me, hello, I'm white."
Maybe because you didn't want to get shot in the face with a revolver and bury you.
Well, you know me, I'd be up there just being like, "Excuse me,
hey lady, how much ammo you got?"
Something doesn't seem right now, and can we talk about it at least? Because do you want me to go? I don't think you want me here.
I'm sure you would have had a very intelligent and productive discussion with her, Philly, Chris.
Right.
Until you got shot in the head.
A lot of progress made on that one.
Right.
That's the thing, is that I've learned over the years that sometimes when people are nuts, you are not going to put a dent in whatever it is that they're saying. And sometimes it's really not worth your time or effort to do so. I don't look at somebody like that and say, well, she's just missing the point here. There's something she's not understanding. I could get through to her. If she only understood where I was coming from.
Yeah. It's like, hold on a minute. No, you're right. You're right.
Things
That's
would
where
be
we are.
completely different. It's like, no, she's a nut job. Nobody's going to say anything that makes her think any differently. If you're out there saying that, then there's no reasoning with you. So you know what? I got better things to do. Mike G in the morning audience members who want to hear what I have to say. I don't need to talk to you when it's going to go in one ear and out the other.
Yeah, good point.
The only thing you could use her for is to test your flashlight, put it through one of her ears and see it go out the other side onto the wall. Make sure it's doing a good job, right?
It might get brighter. It might even come out brighter on the other side.
Maybe it's like some kind of a black hole where it just sucks the flashlight.
Right.
Matter collapses and light itself cannot escape. I always remembered that from, there was a movie, a basketball movie, where they were talking about black holes in the middle of the game.
Yeah.
There's some kind of trash talk, and it was funny because one of the basketball players knows the definition. He says, a black hole is a theoretical object in space. It is so dense that matter collapses and light itself cannot escape. And I always remembered that from the movie, not from school or anything like that.
That's
it was
cool, yeah.
It was supposed to be funny from the movie because, a basketball player is not supposed to know that, I guess. I don't know why.
Right.
But
they're not supposed to be
There's one at the center of every
scientists.
galaxy, yeah.
Really? So you know more than the basketball player. Chris is like, actually, that's not exactly true.
I've taken my TR3B through them a few times.
That wasn't a thorough explanation, sir.
Yeah, it is fascinating. Though.
Is that it last on the list, Professor Kilowitey?
I think it was. Yeah.
That was
Russ
the
has
last
anything
link.
else? You got any clips, Russ?
I do not.
Good job with the graphics today during the show, by the way. There.
Oh,
Russ.
thanks. I used PowerPoint.
Well, not everybody knows how to use PowerPoint.
You had your hands full.
Yeah.
He kept you busy.
Yeah. I like the graphic where I'm doing the technical things. That means don't bother me.
Can we show the
Of course
picture
we'll
of you
buckle
wearing your slippers? Do you mind if we do that?
No, don't do that.
I want to
come
do
on.
some kind of a, not a documentary maybe, but some kind of a special where
Mm-hmm.
we go to Russ and bring him out for the day, and maybe we'll bring him to the gun range.
We have
Bring
to
him,
do that.
bring him to a seminar. Let Russ sit in on a seminar. That would be fun.
Yeah, everyone
Yeah,
can
yeah,
watch
yeah.
and fall asleep.
Just drag
We'll
Russ
do it
around.
behind the scenes. Mike G behind the scenes. A day with Mike G.
We'll get a camera crew and just drag Russ around with us all day. Just drive him nuts.
Let's do it.
You gonna
What,
pay
what else can we do
Wait,
that would drive Russ?
Are you gonna
Russ,
pay
have
the
you ever
camera
been in a
crew?
cigar
Are you
shop?
gonna pay me too?
Yeah, have you ever been in a cigar shop, Russ?
No.
Okay, so
Yeah, we gotta
that's on
take
the list. Have you ever driven in a Monster Miata?
Nope.
We got to do that too.
I've
Yep,
never
that's on
driven
the
a
list.
monster truck. You gonna let me do that too?
No. Monster Miata is a
Oh
small
no,
car.
I want to drive Bigfoot or Gravedigger or something.
What's
Yeah, it's a Miata with a Mustang drivetrain in it.
Yeah, that would be fun. Maybe we could take that out to like Pocono Raceway or something.
Yeah, I want to do that actually. I haven't
Would
done
you?
that yet, but yeah, I would totally. Yeah, there's a great place in Jersey too that does that.
We're not going to Jersey, so get that out of
No,
your
that's good, good point. Yeah.
That is not an
You know
option.
what? We could
Yeah, we'll head up to
we could go
Pocono.
paintballing.
Brought the Monster Miata out there. You had a hollow plate round in the back seat, sir. So now
Yeah.
you're not coming home for.
Mike, we need to
do a fly
we need to
some
start
American
making a list.
flags, maybe a Mike G flag from the roll bar on the way up there.
Guys, we need to start making a list. We got to play Halo. We got to go
Yep.
paintballing. We got to drive sports cars.
Yeah, we're gonna be American and do American things.
Yeah.
Freedom.
But didn't you
Merc.
say? Hold on, this is a very big story. I got a text from Philly Chris the other day saying, "Remember when I mentioned on the program there's going to be a hot dog shortage? Well, it's
Yeah.
all coming true. It's unfolding now." And it's like, maybe I know I don't pay attention to him all the time on the show, but I really don't remember us discussing a hot dog shortage. Did we really talk about that? on
Yeah,
the show?
yeah, I
I think we
mentioned it.
did.
Yeah, I mentioned it a few months
Well,
ago.
the
yeah.
price of
you
meat-
I
remember?
probably
doubled.
wrote you off as absolutely bonkers.
Right.
Well, gentlemen,
And
I
it's
do
starting
have
to happen for the 4th of July. I said, yeah.
I
So,
do
yeah.
I do have my own personal story. So I make this this dish called Foodles for my niece, and basically it's a variation of hamburger helper, and so it's Steakums meat and Velveeta mac and cheese basically, with some seasoning, and the price of meat from like last week or 2 weeks ago has doubled. Cause I had,
No kidding.
Yeah, because I had
Yeah,
to
that
either
big
that or
hack
it was
on
on
the meat
sale.
packing companies.
Either, either that or it was on sale 2 weeks ago when I bought it. But I got two big, three, I call them brains, 3 brains of ground beef because it's cheaper than Steakums. I got 2 packs of the 3 brain ground meat for like $20 last time I bought it. This time it was double.
Mhm.
And I'm like,
Yeah.
oh wow. That's
Yeah.
expensive now.
I think, yeah. Unfortunately, that hack on the meat packing plants had an impact. Yeah.
Why did that? I don't understand why hacking a meat plant would result in more like higher prices.
Well, you're dealing with a just-in-time inventory system. So when they're, working on the animals and slaughtering them and putting them through the process, those facilities operate, I believe, like 24/7, and they can't really shut down. So if you take them off the cloud or take their systems down like they did with the pipeline, it creates a huge bottleneck and lots of problems, along that way. So until they can get back up and running, which is why they're a target, because they're so vulnerable. And now you're interfering with the food supply of the country. So it's pretty significant. I mean, we're pretty much at war, I think, at this point. We've been at war, I would say, for the past year in a lot of ways, an unconventional type of war. Political style war, and look at all the policies going on, everything happening, and now the truth coming out with some of Dr. Fauci's connections to the funding with the Wuhan lab and his going back and forth about guidance with the masks. I mean, come on, really? At this point, let's just wrap up the nonsense.
You know what?
There's some dude who wrote on.
I still
on
haven't
LinkedIn,
gotten an apology
somebody
from
wrote
YouTube.
something about the Fauci situation. And
Oh,
some
yeah?
guy wrote underneath like, "Can somebody point to me one specific lie that he told anyway?" Felt like just posting the link to last week's episode.
right. Yeah, I mean it's nonsense. What's going on?
Yeah, just
Crazy.
check this out, sir, and call me back in a couple hours. All right?
Right.
Didn't he? Wasn't he forced to testify before somebody? I'm not sure who he would testify to. But
Well, Rand Paul's interviews of him, or testifying there when they were questioning him.
Do we have links?
Were pretty interesting to watch.
Do we have links of Rand Paul ripping Fauci a new one?
I think we did play a few on the air.
Okay. Well,
yeah.
All right.
Hold on. Let's
Hold
just do
on.
this before we
wrap up.
Oh, can we rip Fauci a new one?
Well,
Metaphorically?
I would like to watch this. Here's the problem, though. When it comes up, when you type it in, the
They suppress it. Like they
videos
did
that
with
come up
Hillary.
are like from, let's just say, news stations that I don't trust to put up the full story, right?
Yeah.
Right.
You're gonna get news stations that are gonna put up these very select. They're gonna edit it in such a way that it looks different than it actually happened. And it's a very.
You're defined.
Did we see this one? Oh, I should probably share it with you guys. This
Yeah.
one is titled. This one's by CNBC Television. Dr.
Yeah,
Anthony
oh.
Fauci and Senator Rand Paul get in fiery exchange over masks.
Yeah, I'm sure it's gonna tell the full story.
Well,
right?
I don't see one of those BS detector banners that that special channels seem to get instead of an actual strike. Because I've noticed that the bigger channels, they don't actually issue them strike unless they're Steven Crowder. They actually just put these COVID-19 more information banners under it. And so do we want to watch this or no?
Yeah, sure.
All right, here we go.
You're defying everything we know about immunity by telling people to wear masks who've been vaccinated. Instead, you should be saying there is no science to say we're going to have a problem from the large number of people being vaccinated. You want to get rid of vaccine hesitancy? Tell them they can quit wearing their mask after they get the vaccine. You want people to get the vaccine? Give them a reward instead of telling them that the nanny state's going to be there for 3 more years and you got to wear a mask forever. People don't want to hear it. There's no science behind it.
Well, let me just state for the record that masks are not theater. Masks are protective. And we
have
ask
immunity
people-
there, theater. If you already have immunity, you're wearing a mask to give comfort to others. You're not wearing a mask because of any science.
I totally disagree with you. The point I'm saying is that there are variants in now circulating. The point that Senator Paul was making was that if you look at wild type only, there is some clear-cut credence to what he's saying. But we are living right now in a situation where we're having a dominance of 117, which was the original UK. We have a very troublesome variant in New York City, a 526. We've got 2 variants in California, a 427, 429, and we have a number of others. So we're not dealing with a static situation of the same virus.
Yeah, I'm sure
Donald
that
Trump
was
made
the
a statement
entirety
about-
of the exchange, right?
Trump made a statement about Fauci today, as reported by Breitbart. I don't know if you guys saw that. He said
he tell
Fauci
Fauci
says
fired?
he's science, but he's merely science fiction.
Ah.
Talk about an insult.
You know, it's funny. Do you guys ever hear of back in the day? There was a wrestling group called the New World Order.
Oh yeah,
It sounds familiar.
It's like Hulk Hogan and a couple of
Yeah.
other guys. I was watching something on YouTube, just because we were talking about those YouTube banners you were saying, Russ.
Yeah, how do they issue those? I'd like to know.
I don't know, but this is like the And the New World Order theme song from wrestling. And underneath there was this banner that said something like, New World Order is a far right-wing conspiracy theory. Like, it's like they fact check a wrestling theme song.
Right. They're like wrong with their fact check.
That is incorrect.
I'm so glad they fact check it. I would have never known.
Your facts are actually not facts.
It is objectively false.
Right.
World Order is a wrestling group from the late 1990s featuring Hulk Hogan.
You remember they tried to do that on one of the We the People programs. I forget which one it was, but they
QAnon,
said something about QAnon on there, and it's like, A, he wasn't mentioned, and B, it has nothing to do with the program at all. And they're like, oh, QAnon, that's a thing we don't like. I don't know much about QAnon. I didn't really follow it. Didn't QAnon predict that Trump was supposed to like save the day or something? No.
Some people are saying it's still going on behind the scenes, and I think they said the other day that Trump will be back in office by August. So, not saying I believe that or anything, but people are talking about it.
Place your bet.
Place your bet. Put your bets on the line.
How quickly can we get a gambling license, Philly Chris?
I know some people in the business, probably pretty quick.
Yeah. How quickly can we get a gambling license to bet on some of this stuff? I do have people tell me some pretty wild things. I will say this: we were talking about the audit over in Arizona. If that comes back and shows anything suspicious, then people are going to have questions and want to see action as a result. Obviously, auditthevotepA.com. People are not going to accept, well, it's too late and there's nothing you can do about it now as an answer. Right. So if, whatever they find, they have to act in accordance with it and take the proper measures and precautions, which is probably the extent of what I can say without getting us kicked off of YouTube.
Well, you know what? It was insanely slow apparently, but it did load. Yeah. This is
Audit the Vote PA.
Yep, Audit the Vote PA.
I hope you signed, Russ. I hope you signed.
I'm going to do it right now. Where do I
go?
go?
Very
good. Petition? Is that where I go?
That's right.
I'm going to do it live!
Do it live! I'll
Ladies
sign
and
it and I'll do it live.
Sign the petition. Click here.
Sign the
PA
petition.
residents
I'll
only.
sign it and I'll do it live.
I'm going to do it live on the air.
Oh, I
maybe you shouldn't do it on the air because you have your address.
I'm going to hide this.
Yeah.
You don't want them to know where the North Pole is in Antarctica.
You know what else? Liberty always sends me these animal articles. There was this horrible, horrible, horrible story about this guy who did something to a little dog.
Oof.
Don't even want to read it. And the things that I would do to that guy, I certainly can't repeat on the air either.
Sure. You'll have to tell me off the air, though.
As a society, when we see people do things like this, whether it's to animals or it's to children, I feel like we've got to do more to hold them accountable as a society. And that's as a criminal defense attorney, I believe in everybody's rights to fair trial and everything like that.
Sure.
Constitution and everything. But at the end of the day, you still got to acknowledge that if you've gone through your due process and you are guilty, there should be consequences. We got to stand up and stand out against things like this. Got nothing more that I can say on the air.
No, I like that she shares that stuff. It's a reminder of what is really going on in the world, and unfortunately, as many of us drive around and go to our fast food places and here and there and everything else. Not that, consumer practices, consumer purchases drive that stuff. So yeah, we need to pay closer attention to where we're spending our funds. Yeah, because a lot of these companies are doing that stuff, engaged in it.
Yeah.
I did it live.
There you go, Russ. Good job. Thank you.
While protecting my personal information.
Very good.
Yes.
Very good. You don't want anybody showing up at the North Pole now.
No.
Good deal. All right. That's all I've got. Do you have any parting words, Philly Chris?
Hey, peace and love, everybody. Be safe out there. Keep an eye on what's going on. And thanks for tuning in and listening. Love you guys.
How about you, Russ?
Sign the audit the thing, PA. Sign the thing. Also,
the thing. You sound like Joe Biden right now.
The thing. Also, I did a quick look up of the COVID misinformation policy. And last it was updated was May 20th of last year. So they're actively not giving a crap. And
you're right. I mean, they kicked us off. Come on.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they're like,
forgetting what just happened a few weeks ago.
Right.
Yeah. But
I think they very much care.
well,
Maybe they only care about certain people, but we're one of them.
Well, okay. I mean, we moved to Rumble because Rumble is objectively better, for one thing, and also, I mean,
where you could find
essentially
all of our previous episodes on Rumble. You know where you can find those, Philly Chris?
On Rumble, I believe it's listed as The Law Matters, right, Russ?
No, you go to MikeGinthemorning.com.
Oh, well, of course.
Click
You
the
can go to
big thing
Mike G
that
in
says
the morning. I'm
Rumble.
sorry.
Okay.
This
My
show.
bad.
Watch all
but I think it
previous
is
episodes here at Rumble.
Rumble.
Mike G in the morning.
Mike G in the morning.
Oh, look at this. This is beautiful. Why have we not done this so far?
Oh, yeah, we should have done this. Yeah, there it is.
Up, showing our listeners, right? So you could listen live through
Miss
Twitch.
the show? It's on Rumble, except for right now because it's still live.
It's still live.
Looking good. Look at this.
So here's what you could have done, though, Russ.
Yeah.
And you could have watched it on Twitch, right?
Yeah.
Or you could have even clicked on the YouTube channel. We're streaming over there. Look, we're streaming over there.
Whoa!
Look
at
no,
this.
We're streaming
We're
over
like
there.
in
an endless. Fell into a
Like
hole.
in that black hole time warp, good stuff
Like
going on there.
When you got Trump's head inside of his mouth and it keeps going through that way. You ever see that thing?
Right. Yeah.
That's the YouTube channel with all of our wild videos.
The YouTube channel? Okay. Look, we're live!
We're live.
Are they all out there now, Russ? They're all out there?
What do you mean, are they all out there? What
Like
what
the
do you mean?
past, all of Mike's shows are on
they've
Rumble
been
now?
up there for a
Rumble?
while.
Cool.
Go to the Rumble channel.
Rumble channel? All right. Wait. Here we go. Yeah, there's last week. Constitutional carry, emails.
Oh, they are not all on there. It only goes back to, or is...
Dude, you have to scroll.
Oh, we'll do a little scrolling
You're
action
not in
there.
order.
Moving the... Cool.
Yeah, but that's
Good job,
not all
Russ.
of them. That's not 2 years worth of shows, is it? No.
There's another page, maybe.
319, 115, 21. That's pretty far back.
Oh, I believe the word Philly Chris used was all, right?
That's right.
All.
Hang on.
Yeah. I didn't
As
think it
in-
was, so I was trying to check. Yeah. Just checking.
Here it is.
We need... Okay, so that's got all of them.
This has all of them.
So do we need to go back to... We need to add another link to... add another link to the Mike G in the Morning
Mike,
website?
Mike, here's the thing, okay? These from 2018, A, they're on SoundCloud. B, they have no video to them. And C, nobody's knocking down our door to listen to 11/9/18 specifically on Rumble.
Well, these shows are like a fine wine. They get better with age.
Here's the thing, Russ, is that first of all, I have had many people say that, hey, I just found out about you, so I'm going back and listening to all the episodes. But aside from that, you're saying specifically on Rumble, my point was that the page you're on right now is not directly linked on MikeGinthemorning.com. It's not like you can click on that right away to listen to the previous episodes. So maybe we need to add some kind of button on the home page that brings them directly to the link that you're looking at.
Well-
and we can just say audio only or something like that.
Well, yeah, you could do that. Or you could direct them here. I mean, this basically spells out everything. The way, until Mike gets around to it, I guess, you go to our website, 1180wfyl.com, click on podcasts, scroll down to The Law Matters with Mike G. There's a naming inconsistency going on here. I needed to fix that.
Yeah.
We need to pick one.
So that is where you can find
yeah.
the archives. You know what we're going to do, Russ, is we're certainly going to make a clip out of what you just did, post that up on our YouTube channel, and that way people can see how they can find all of the previous episodes audio only. What do you say, Russ?
Well, it looks like audio only goes from the 2018 that I showed up to 10/16/20, and then after that it's on Rumble. So 10/22, which was
so
debate
neither
night.
of them are complete.
What do you mean?
So neither of them have the entire history of the program.
Why would they?
Could it be
Why
simple
would they
for
be-
the listeners? to go
Right.
back to one
Okay,
place?
so what I'm getting at, Mike.
Yeah, why put them all
Mike.
in one place?
Mike,
Just a thought there.
you're gonna make me
Just
put my
throwing it
head
out
through
there.
my desk.
It's not. It's no fun for the listeners. You got to make a scavenger hunt.
No,
Yeah,
Mike,
see,
Mike.
try to find this show and what we said at the 4-minute
Listen.
mark.
This page here is a one-stop shop. Okay, if you want to listen to a Mike G episode, you scroll down to the one that you want, you click on it, and it presents you with that show. No matter what format it's in, you're gonna get to listen to.
Good morning
this.
to our loyal.
Okay, you're gonna get to listen to the show no matter what platform it's on.
I thought
You'll
you were
be
going to get us
presented with it.
banged on a copyright though, because those SoundClouds typically have the Rocky theme, don't they?
A lot of them do.
Yeah, 'cause
I
they're
believe-
they're usually identical to what broadcasts on the air in the morning.
Yes.
So you're gonna
So-
you're gonna get yanked off of YouTube again.
Well, no. Well, they don't yank us for using copyright. They're like, oh, you use 3 seconds
now
of this
Sylvester
song, so the
Stallone
whole
owns
thing
your-
is theirs.
Now Sylvester Stallone owns the video, right?
Yeah. Did he compose that?
No, I don't know. I know he didn't.
Surely
compose
he
it.
has some kind of rights to it. It
That's
is
what
the
that's
Rocky
what I'm
theme.
saying. You know,
Surely he
$1
has some kind of tie
franchise.
to it. But yeah, I mean, this page here is a one-stop shop. So no matter what platform it's on, if we go to another one, the thing is, going forward, this page is going to be future-proof. Okay.
Okay.
If we switch off of Rumble for some reason, let's say they go rogue and they hate everybody, or let's say the left shuts down Rumble, okay, for some reason, and we got to go to a different platform. It's gonna be on here that you see all the links being updated and stuff. Okay, it's a one-stop shop.
Sounds
Nice.
I feel like I'm in a meeting presenting this idea and I have to defend it for some reason.
Alrighty, well let's make the clip
According
like
to
we
this
said.
chart.
Yeah, no, it's a good idea.
All right. Anyway, thank you, Russ. Thank you for promoting AuditTheVotePA.com.
Yes.
That's all the time. I gotta get it clean. Gotta get it clean. That's all the time we've got for today. Stick around for We the People, the Constitution Matters. Pastor David Whitney, Professor Phil Duffy. I'll be joining as your legal analyst.